Go live. And then we should be live now.
So, good evening everyone. We hope we're live, so perhaps if anybody watching could just do that, yes, you can see us and hear us, that would be quite helpful. Having done a huge amount of Zoom meetings in the last year, this is something we all have to do at Zoom meetings, so we get used to it, see if anybody's on mute. So, am I talking to myself, or can anybody hear us? This is something we all have to do at Zoom meetings. So.
I guess it works.
I can see and hear you okay. Wonderful. So game on. Wonderful. Great. Thank you. So sorry we didn't get a lot of notice for this, and we hadn't suddenly realised we hadn't done a live stream for quite a long while. We had done them quite a lot in the first lockdown, and here we are in the third lockdown, so we thought we'd better do another one. Talking of lockdowns, you'll all have seen the rules. We're not doing Brexit, we're not doing Trump, and we're not doing COVID. This is just model railways. So
we've got plenty of moderators on here.
Yep, we've got loads of moderators on. You will be shut down. Some of you will remember about two live streams ago, unfortunately we had a really good live stream which we had to stop because it was the UK election at the time and we got trolled. So hopefully we're ready this time. Now the more observant of you will notice I'm still missing my tooth.
Lumped it.
Which is a bridge that fell out, and of course I can't get a dentist's appointment to put it back. Hence the lisping that some of you would have heard on some of the videos, and you might hear tonight. So as always, please, if we've got any questions, that's really the main point of this, is for you guys to ask us questions and us to answer them.
Well, we're going to start with the new bits.
And he chips in occasionally as well.
What do you mean?
So we thought we'd start.
Mine.
I got on, you talk. Yeah, you designed it.
So we have the original single PWM controller box. Stop trying to flash the factory employee of the month.
It's me, employee of the month.
And the recent arrival is, is the double controller box. So it's the exact same as the single one, but it holds 2 units and only requires 1 power transformer.
So that's going to be the hold up, because what we're going to do at the moment, it only requires 1 power transformer, so you save the cost of a power transformer. But we just want to test it up on the existing loft layout, just run it for an hour or so, just to see how it works.
Yeah, there's inside. So you've just got 2 units, and instead of the power feed coming in from the back, it now comes in from one of the sides.
Because what have we sold? 1,000 of the
over
single
1,000
1,000 of single boxes. I predicted we'd sell a dozen. So that's caught us out. I think it's because the electric components make an extremely good controller.
Weirdly cheap and weirdly effective.
Weirdly cheap and weirdly effective, especially compared to, say, against the Hornby one, which has had an exponential rise in price. And it's going to cost you now with the controller, with the adapter, something like about £40. And it's not a particularly good controller. So ours, it's just sheer good luck. I mean, those components are actually off LED lights, which I found on eBay, and that's how it's taken off. And obviously we do use them ourselves fairly extensively on our layouts because of the slower speed running.
I should find some of the other new things.
And if so, Doug will show you. Yeah, we've been doing some more designing.
These ones we don't have
3D.
them to show you in real life because we haven't been able to print them yet. Because
it's just like the real railway companies that show you the computer graphics of what they're going to release in about 5 years' time.
You lot keep buying too many of our 3D printed kits, so we don't have time to print new kits.
Yes, we're all hoping for a less miserable new year. So I don't know if Doug can put this on the screen. So this is, we sat and designed this last night. This is N-gauge, and this will be a little rail bus. We've done all sorts of clever designs, then realised we could simply do what we did with 00, which is adapt the existing Bobo diesel. And this will go on I think it's 106 or 107.
Whichever one the Bobo is.
Which is the Bobo. They do several, but they're quite similar. So this is designed to fit the Kato Bobo chassis, which at the moment are quite a bit cheaper than the newer 4-wheel ones. So that's going to be quite nice. That's in N-gauge.
Someone asked that the Hornby power supplies work on our controllers. If they're 12 volt and have the same size, then probably, but I can't confirm.
Yeah, I have used them. Yeah, I have used the Hornby ones.
You have used it, but you used it and then blew our controller.
Because it was 12 one, yeah. It does need to be 12 volt. So I'm quite pleased with that one, and then Doug's just going to show us, hopefully,
am I going to show you the
other one, the building.
Yeah, I'll get that.
And we've got some other plans for 3D printed, so we recently asked people to suggest what models they wanted, which has been more than useful, because in and amongst all the usual stuff we had some quite good ideas. So we're going to do a 009 brake van, which will be the double bogie one, the same as the coaches and the wagons. And we're going to do a double O brake van just to make the range complete. I know there's lots of them out there.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a double O open wagon again. I know there's a lot out there, but it's just to make the range complete. But I think the 009 brake van will be very popular. And we're also going to do a 009 single loco engine shed, because there isn't anything like that out there. They're all too big. You have to cut down the daypole ones and that sort of thing. So the other new bit we've got here.
First of all, someone says we'll be doing more running sessions. The ones I have seem very good.
Yeah, the running sessions are, we're kind of almost a victim of our own success. We're so busy doing 3D printing, and I'm usually busy making layouts, but I am getting very tired of not being able to run locos. So we will be doing some running sessions. The big shunting layout that I've got didn't sell. A guy bought it on eBay and then they did lockdown, so he can't come and get it. So I've had to take it off sale. So my plan is to keep that for the time being. So we might do some running sessions on that. In the very long run, we've got big plans for the loft, which would enable us then to basically do running videos every week. But that's a bit more long term.
Anyway, should we do this quickly? And this is our other new model that's already designed, which is an OO gauge semi-detached cottages that's low relief, so it's only the front or the back, whichever you want. But
and you could stick two together and make one cottage.
So that's the other thing.
I'll just answer a few of these. Good, I'm glad the Instagram shout out got you 100 followers. Cedar Tree quite good. A few nice second-hand bits on there at sensible prices. In fact, given the way prices have gone up, very sensible prices. We do occasionally get approached by people asking us to promote them, and their second-hand prices are sky high. So it was good to see somebody doing them sensible. I've had to review what means sensible these days because prices have got so high for second-hand. Somebody's saying about not having the vision. Don't worry about the vision. Keep it simple. Where did you put the books? There's something like that. Pico track plans. Just copy one of the layouts. Don't change it. Copy it. At the end of the day, you need a passing loop and a station building. And if you look at my videos on, the original simple layout that I did, platforms, station building, good shed, signal box, level crossing, and some trees, and you've got a layout. It's taken me a long time to get as creative and imaginative as I am. My current micro layout, what I'm going to call Cobbletown, is years of looking at things and doing it. Initially, it's still one of my favourite layouts, is the one Paul Brennan bought, which is literally a single passing loop, a siding, a signal box, a coal yard, a station. There you go. So don't worry about overcomplicating it. Keep it simple. If you've got room to do a loop and a siding. Just keep it simple. Station building, few buildings. There's a few guys on Instagram and doing channels, and those books are really useful. I mean, I'm replanning my loft and struggled with trying to get my head around a double track country station. I looked in that book, and in 30 seconds there's a plan that shows me how it works. And the great Cyril Freezer once said that, don't try and reinvent the wheel. There will be a plan that will do what you want.
Martin Street says, hi guys, how much is the new double controller box please? Well, it's not on our website yet and we haven't really decided, but we're thinking probably £10 because it's literally just the single one but double. So,
yep.
Makes sense. Would you review the Hornby Intercity Express set? Depends how much it is.
It depends if it's budget or not. We quite often get asked to review stuff, but if we don't own it, it means buying it. And I mean, one guy wanted me to buy about £300 worth of stuff to review it. And when you looked on YouTube, there were already 10 review videos. We are only going to review budget.
And that is the other thing. We do get approached by a lot of companies to say, can you review these and can you review my company and all that. But a lot of the time we decline them because they're too expensive. So we really are giving you... we don't just review things because we get paid. We only ever review things if they're actually worth it for you.
I do quite enjoy this. Apparently somebody, Beecher here, has said that we've got 21,000 subscribers, Hornby have 31 and Backman 3,000. If that's true. No, I didn't know we'd got that big.
Oh no, Mum's on here. She says, hi Douglas, smile for Mummy.
It's Mum's on. Well done.
How do you use a 3D printer? 3 years of pain.
We always get asked this. And 3D, there was an article in the Continental Modeler recently of somebody showing how to print really unbelievably simple shapes. The truth of the matter is people are rushing out and buying 3D printers because they're cheap. 3 years of studying computer-aided design, CAD.
I did computer science at school as a GCSE, not that I technically have a GCSE in it because coronavirus, and a GCSE in design technology. And now I'm doing an A-level in engineering, which involves a whole course on computer-aided design. And I still struggle with the software sometimes.
And then equally, then there's people continually trying to print things in one. And it is... There's better ways of getting details. Why we ended up building kits. Yes, I have seen the new Hornby BR Blue Bagnall, and I have pre-ordered one. They're not available till July. I managed to get one from Jadlam Racing Models, which was only £37, no postage, which is a lot less than the £42 plus £4. Now, you know my views. I'd like these to be £30, but in the current climate, I still don't understand why all the Hornby prices have gone up 10-20% when there's no inflation. But the budget ones are still quite cheap. So I have ordered one, and when it comes out we will review it. The train pack is okay. I'd like it to have been 50 quid, not 62. We all know these prices will come down, but actually the train pack that they're going to do is quite good. The 060 at £50 is £10 more than I'd like to have seen it at, but again, in current prices, it's not too bad. We might get one of those when they come out. Thank you, Cedar Trees. I'll have a look at your A4Os. I have a huge weakness. I have a huge weakness for where are we? Camera A4Os. For A4Os. Because they're cheap and reliable and run really well when you get a good one.
What do you think of Hornby being up to their usual tricks in the 2021 range?
Depends what you mean by usual tricks. As I've just said, the budget range is getting bigger, which is good. There is a wagon in the new Hornby range, which is a Hornby 2021 Collector's Open wagon. It's only going to be £5.90, when the cheapest budget wagon is £11. So look out for those, because that's a great price for a new wagon. I'd like to see them cheaper. I understand that the top flight models have got to be that price. I just think it's wrong. I just think buy more. They'll all sell out. Pre-order before they even hit the shops. I used to be in an equestrian trade that used to do that. It means you're not making enough, guys. It's pure and simple. Make more, bring the price down, sell even more. You can't make a limited run of 500 and then say that's all you can sell and then sell out before you even release them. That's just not logical. That means you could have sold more. Next time, try making 700 and see what happens. To make money in business, you've got to take a risk occasionally. You know, you should have seen the sleepless nights we had when we bought our third printer.
You mean first printer?
Now we've gone through 6.
No. We've gone through 8 printers.
Gone through 8 printers.
We've got 4 working at the moment. We've been through 8. So we put them through a lot of abuse, the fact we've killed 4 printers. And like...
Oh, hello to Canada.
I really make sure the printers live. I work on them all the time, constantly replacing parts, and we properly killed 4 of them.
So wanting through some of this, I agree with Beecher. There's no reason for the 040 to be 42. It was 32 last year. I think it was 35, some of them. There is no reason for what is effectively a 20-25% price rise, especially on a model which has actually got no new production costs. They should have been a couple of pound more, £32. Why some of the 040s are 42 and some are 37, I've no idea. The only good news is if you hold your horses, in about 6 months' time they'll all be 20 quid, 25 quid in all the usual outlets. I would say about the 040, in a month's time Hornby will launch the new 040 Loco to go with the Hornby Collectors Club. Now last year it was an awful thing. The year before that it was a Bagnall, and the Hornby Collectors Club is 28 quid. So you get all the magazines for a year and you get a Loco for 28 quid. So I'm waiting to see whether they do an interesting logo for this year. I don't agree with it, but in the current crop, where the cheapest next Loco is £100, £42 is not too bad. Somewhere along the line there's still problems here. I just bought another 044 Tender Loco for £55 that should have been £85. So there is wiggle room there when you look for it.
So what big plans have you got for 2021? I mean, new kits, and that's probably about it. There's not really much we can do. No exhibitions, again. So...
Yeah, we're really sorry about the exhibitions. We don't kill the printers. How many hours is a hobby printer designed for, Doug?
Okay, so the printers we use are rated for 100 hours of printing. That's their warranty, their guarantee. If they break within that time, you can get a refund on them. We print about 12 hours a day, every single day of the week. Now, if my maths is right, we do that in about 9 days. We break their warranty.
We think one of the printers lasted 1,000 hours. I would point out there that Doug is a genius at keeping these things. He's just got one of the printers working from components of 3 old printers.
I cannibalised the old
We
ones.
cannibalised them, and he's taught himself to do them. They are not maintenance free in any way, shape or form.
The difference is we could go out and buy one of the industrial, maybe one of the Ultimaker replicas or something. They are industrial printers. They will be designed for it. The problem is, for the price of one of them, we can have one. Or I can keep constantly working on the lower end printers that we have with my modifications to them to make the quality much higher, and we can have 4 of them, so we can print much faster.
A few other questions. So, the most modern Loco I own is Class 66, an old Lima one, which is absolutely fabulous. And I have contemplated buying a new Hornby one. Yes, you can get them for around £70. My real limit on a Loco is 55. I might at some point weaken. We will see. I'll probably wait till I can get one second hand for about 50 quid, if I'm honest. The double controller is a complete unit. No, we'll always only sell the boxes. It is far too problematic to get involved in the electronics, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But sorry about that, but we would have to then start looking at insurance, liability, blah 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 blah. We'll do the boxes.
And the price of them would have to skyrocket.
The price would
which we don't
skyrocket
want to do.
because to cover it.
We want to keep the price as low as possible.
Right, how much locos and rolling stock do you need for a good small layout? 1 loco, potentially. You might get a bit bored, but 1 loco. 2 coaches, 3 or 4 wagons and a brake van, and you're away. You'll get bored with that fairly quickly, but if you build a basic my simple layout I did with 1 siding, and then you've got to shunt the coal wagons, and if you look at the video I did one on how to make Modelorama layout for complete beginners, and I do a bit in there on how much locos and rolling stock you need, and it is effectively 2 coaches or 1 Hornby coach, 3 or 4 wagons, a brake van, a loco or 2, and you're away, and then build it up from there. We will just all end up with more locos because it's part of the hobby, it's part of the addiction, to be honest.
Will you be using a resin printer in the future? No. Maybe, if by future you mean like 20 years time, because as far as 3D printing technologies go, resin will be the better technology, but I use the term will be because it most definitely is not yet. The technology behind it, when it is mastered properly, will be far better than FDM printing, which is when you go layer by layer by layer with molten plastic. But at the moment the FDM printing is far superior in quality and everything. The only thing it's not better at is speed, but that's no good when you have a resin printer that can print really quickly but the quality is absolutely terrible.
And the few people we've seen with resin are having a nightmare to make them reliable. I should have brought the new Terrier up. It's a lovely little Great Western one that I got from Classic Rail. I know I push them, but Classic Rail are great. If you want anything, give Richard a ring. He's not the world's greatest website. He doesn't put everything on the website, but if he sells you a Loco, it'll run great. And he doesn't put all his rolling stock, but he's got boxes and boxes of it. If you ring him up and say, I want half a dozen box wagons or something, he'll find you some, and they'll be £4 or £5 each, not the £10-15 that people are trying to get second hand from at the moment.
Everyone's asking if they can see your Terrier.
Yeah, if we get a break later, I'll go and get it. It's
where is it?
It's down in the study somewhere.
That's very helpful. Your room is a mess.
No, it's my work area. I work in a mess. I've no idea. It's in my study somewhere. We will get it later. It's a nice little terrier. It's detailed. Do I like it any more than some of my 20 quid O4Os? No, I don't. And it cost me twice as well. It didn't cost me. It was very kind. It was a present from my wife and my father-in-law. It cost me £45, which is a good price for one, from Classic Rail. But do I like it any more than some of the O4Os I've got? No, I don't. But there you go. I'm strange like that.
Are you doing any more giveaways?
Yeah,
next year, as always, the Christmas giveaway.
In fact, we've we've approached Hornby, and they've already kindly confirmed that they will let us have a train set and an 040 next year, so that we can do to give away, so that we can do a members prize with the Loco and another train set. we don't publish the results until people have said to us that they're happy for us to do so.
Yeah.
We couldn't go online and say Bob in Scarborough won it because of the good old GDPR.
All of the winners have now replied. They have all had their prizes sent out to them. We've got one photo back from the main prize winner that we will be able to use. He said we can use that on our social media pages. So we'll wait for the others, and hopefully they do send us a photo. Would be nice, and then we can put them all up.
Yeah.
Together.
It's not that price is necessarily an issue with the liquid resin. It's just that it's not producing what we can produce. I do think you need to look and have a look at our website and see the difference in the quality of the detail we produce compared to what most people produce. It is completely different. So one of the reasons for resin is people trying to get levels of detail which they can't get in 3D, but we can. Trade secret. I'm not prepared to discuss how we can, but part of it. Get the detail on our models.
Oh, no.
Part of it is 3 years worth of CAD design.
That's the main difference between us and everyone else that does the 3D printed trains, is my quality.
We do have some quite good plans for 3D because somebody is learning a much more advanced software package at college.
Autodesk AutoCAD, normally £70,000 a year subscription. I get it free as a student.
But it might enable us to do. I want some very rounded rail buses and things like that, and it will give us the opportunity to do that. Someone was asking about lighting in buildings. I never light buildings. I always put black car behind the windows, and nobody ever notices. You can't see in the buildings anyway. Even if you put interiors and lights, you've got tiny little square to see through. I understand people doing it if they want to, but you don't actually need to. Yeah, if you sprayed your rails, you will end up with juddery running, whatever you do. It's why I don't wear the track. One of the reasons we don't use ballast, we don't spray, we don't paint rails and all this sort of thing, is it will just knacker your points and your running, and you then have to spend many happy hours cleaning all your track off again. And if you're very unlucky, what you'll find is if your fish plates weren't an possibly close fit to the rails, you will have got paint between your rails and your fish plates, and you will then have problems with your running. As you all know, that my style of model railways is nothing to do with this artistic perfectionism. I just want to run trains. I don't lay ballast, I lay ballast mat, I don't paint my rails. I'm far more interested that they run reliably than I have uber realism. And you've heard me say before, people like Barry Davis and so on, who are very popular, who don't even put ballast mat or scenery down. They just enjoy running their trains. And I think it's the difference between potentially being a model maker and somebody that wants to run trains. And hopefully we're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, our newsletter doesn't exist anymore. We stopped that about 2 years ago. We do, however, if you go onto our website and scroll all the way down to the bottom, there'll be a little thing where you can sign up for emails, but they're more to do with our 3D printed kits rather than the newsletter.
Worst thing you've ever bought was a Class 24 conversion from Hornby that somebody sold me on eBay, and when it turned up, the frame was cracked, the wheels wouldn't go around the corner, got 3 link couplings on it. I did eventually get all my money back from the guy, but I had a terrible job. A usual problem, he'd run it up and down a straight bit of track, and it's a great runner, because as soon as it hit a bend, because the bogies couldn't turn, it just used to be like it was the Formula 1 racer that put his car into the barriers because he didn't go around the corner. Whatever it was recently. It was like watching that. Yeah.
Carlos Sainz, was it? No, Max Verstappen. No, it was Carlos.
Yeah, no, we won't be making a video on how to make ballast or static grass applicator because we've already done one which is to use a plastic bottle and use static. You can use, if you can buy fly swatters and all this sort of thing. I've got a terrible habit of electrocuting
You'll just
myself with them.
electrocute yourself.
So I'm not that fagged. We do have an applicator if I really want to. But at the time we got quite cheaply from...
We got supplied it by
Hobby King.
Max Verstappen. It was Max Verstappen.
It was Max Verstappen.
Was that on the Sochi when they went around the barriers?
I don't know. Yeah. I have lots of emus. Not emus, no, DMUs. I don't have many emus, but I do have quite a lot of DMUs. The Great Model Railway Challenge was interesting because I read an article about a guy who was on it, and he said, "Well, they didn't show you."
The bear.
He said they were told they'd got an hour, and then the people next to them were being filmed, so they told them they'd got to stop. So they lost half an hour. We wanted to do it. Douglas can't take part because he's under 18. And when they do the junior one, I can't take part because I'm 57 next month. So we can't take part. It's an interesting one. I think it promoted the hobby, which is fantastic. and you've got to leave it at that, really. It wasn't too many numpties or idiots on there. So I think they did a really good job, the guys. I think it promoted it, and I think it was good that the hobby jumped on board. Secure the bar in the outer circuit where Perez won. Oh, it was on the first series. Somebody was on the Great Model Railway Challenge. Well, perhaps you need to tell us what you thought of it. Yeah.
It's a shame. We should one day work out how to bring in guest speakers.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah. We've probably missed some. Sorry if we've missed you. They are coming in quite
Probably
quick.
have. We've got 130 viewers.
Yeah, we've never had that many. 100 odd is our usual. So thank you very much. Oh, TGV. Well, if TGV is an EMU, TGV is one of my favourite models because when he was younger, he wanted a TGV or a high-speed train, and I went to Classic Rail, and he had the Mahano one there, which is HO, but it's really nice looking. 2 end units, 2 power cars. I paid, I think, £35 for it, which at the time was the price of a diesel, class 37 or something. And of course, it's Mahano, so it's an absolutely superb runner. Smooth, quiet, it looks wonderful, doesn't it? So we had a lot of fun with our TGV.
Will you guys get any Hornby 2021 stuff?
I've already ordered one. I've ordered the...
How very unlike you to buy brand new.
It is unlike me to order new, but I do like the Bagnalls, and I thought we could then do a review on it, is actually why I ordered it. And to be fair, I had said to Hornby I'd like to see a Bagnall in BR Blue, and they've done one, so it would be churlish not to buy one.
When are we making videos in the loft again? Oh, this is interesting.
Right, so...
This is going to get us into a whole new way. Shall I bring up the Instagram? I can show you the one in the summer house.
No, because I'm not building the one in the summer house.
Yeah, but you can give it as like a timeline and show that you were thinking it.
I need somewhere to run trains. The problem we've got is there isn't really room in the study. I've got the big loft, but the loft is unbelievably hot in the summer. It's nice and comfortable in the winter because you open the loft hatch and all the hot air rushes out the house into the loft, and I'm happy, and my darling wife is downstairs freezing her ankles off.
And me.
So we've got an old summer house in the garden.
We put this in
I can get a big board in there and get a 5 foot by 3 foot board in there, and I could do one of my nice loopy ones.
Yeah, be sure to check out our Instagram. We get lots of behind the scenes.
Yeah, so if you don't follow us on Instagram, please do, because I've started using Instagram a lot.
Row is official.
So I've come back to the loft, and what we're going to do, in fact, I'm going to design an insulated second loft hatch, so that once I'm in the loft, I can shut the hatch down, won't lose all the hot air. The problem with the loft layout is it doesn't do what I want it to do. So it was designed when Doug was 10, 7 years ago, when we didn't know much about model railways. And so the 2 upper areas are great, but they don't really do what I want. I haven't got the room to do what I actually want, which is a nice country through station and a terminus. So what I'm actually going to do is lift everything we've already laid, save all the track, because fortunately we didn't ballast it. If we ballasted it, that's quite a lot of time and effort and money that we'd have to have thrown away, because whatever anybody says, you can't lift track once it's been ballasted. So I can unscrew it, lift it all up, and then I've got it's in the other room actually, I've got a plan. So some of you will remember my ideal shunting layout that was just about to be sold, and I said earlier now hasn't been sold. That will fit on one side. So that's going to go on one side as the terminus, looping round to a double line round the loft, all on the same level. And I've got a little plan then to put a little workstation up there under the window, so that when I'm up there I can build things. So we'll go back to our beginnings and redo the loft, but the loft needs clearing because it's got very junked, and then I need to strip everything off and start again. Once I have started again, it's going to be quite quick, because the whole terminus station is now going to be the existing layout, just put straight down. And I'm not going to overcomplicate it. I know exactly now. I've sat today and planned exactly what I want, and I know more about railways now, so I know what I want in a railway. So that's where we are with the loft.
Are you still planning on doing a virtual model railway exhibition? Maybe. We didn't really get.
We didn't get any enthusiasm for it.
We got a couple of people, and then just kind of dropped. So we gave up.
So we've tried to short our power controllers. God knows we've tried. But
yeah,
we can't.
when we first made the original one, I left a screwdriver across the track on purposely, and absolutely nothing happened.
We've tried touching the wires together. We've tried shorting locos.
I was poking around inside the unit while it was on with a screwdriver, and nothing happened. So I guess they have something in there.
Because when we first did them, we had loads of people saying, "You shouldn't be selling these." Budget Bear said, "You shouldn't be selling these." because you're short my loco and you're short, so we don't make sure we don't short, because people are going, oh, you haven't got a cutout switch, you haven't got a button that blows when the power blows, and we can't make it do it. So, don't know what the answer is there.
Are we going to make a layout made entirely of 3D printed parts, except for track?
Possibly.
I mean, I would like to.
Well, we could, because we got the rolling stock.
Track at one point because we found out you could buy electrically conductive filament.
Except it was a con.
Except it was a complete con.
Now the chocolate filament we are quite excited about.
The chocolate filament.
You can actually 3D print in chocolate.
Could you imagine one of our kits 3D printed in chocolate? That's what we should do for Christmas.
Yeah, chocolate
Instead
logo.
of a normal one of our kits, a chocolate Patrick Morales logo.
So Gauge Master ballast strip I've used. You know I like ballast strip. I don't like the Gauge Master as much as the Javis. I've just bought Javis, in fact, for another project I'm now not going to do, but I'll probably use in the loft. But either of them are fine, although if I had the preference I would use grey roofing felt when I've got a lot to do, but it's not any good if you just got a shunting layout to do.
Have you considered using Gauge Master ballast?
That's what I've just spoken about.
Oh,
ballast strip.
I'm just way behind you.
Oh, if you mean the ballast strip, which is the stuff you put the track in, yes, I did look at it, but it's a cost problem again, and they don't actually do it for points, so you've got to hand cut it round the points. So no.
How do you name your layouts?
Sometimes they're suggested. So Green Hill Halt was because it's a halt on a green hill. Rosen's Hill because we live in a place called Rosen's. Ratton, which was regionally loft because where he went to school. Stafford because of where he went to school. Homewood because it's something I like, home and woods. So that you then had Homewood, Homewood Valley, Homewood Vale. The micro one is going to be Cobbletown, Cobblestone, something like that, because it's got a cobbled town.
Wow, I haven't done it.
My favourite, which I haven't done yet, which I haven't finished, is Foyle's Wharf, which some of you will remember a TV programme called Foyle's
I've buried that in my shed now.
No, that's actually no, that's not it. That's the first one I did. No, I've got a second one up in there, which were the train reef and things. No, we won't ever be doing a tutorial on how to fit a decoder in a locomotive because we ain't ever going to do DCC. Not for the next few years until it becomes as cheap as DC and as simple and reliable as DC. Yet again, yesterday I saw some poor bloke on Instagram who'd spent hours and then fried all his point motors.
The best tutorial we can have to offer is by taking the advice of just stick to DC. It's simpler.
Yep. A big boy in chocolate. That's the big American one. It'd be about 4 foot long.
I mean, that would be pretty cool. Because we're not making money out of it, we can go and take a design offline somewhere.
Did we ever try and dock shunter on our controller? It won't matter what you run, the controller will work.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Do you have plans to 3D print an OO gauge turntable? I mean, sure.
Possibly. The difficulty is that a lot of these Daypol do a perfectly good one for £7, and the point of us doing one is what? It's the same as things like 00 station buildings, and Daypol make a perfectly good one. What's the point? It's got to be something like an 009 engine shed that nobody else does.
Oh, Dave Day says the description of the PWM controller does say that it has a short circuit protection.
Oh, well, there you go. We didn't notice that. Thanks, Dave.
What's been your favourite layout to make and your least favourite to make?
Well, I suppose the least favourite would be the one where it all buckled in the heat, which is a bit of a pain.
Right.
I like when you hear musicians and they say, what's your favourite album? And they say whatever my last one was. It tends to be whatever layout I was working on last. I did like the little one I sold, Paul Brennan. That was clever, but I can recreate it. I think Green Hall will always be one of our favourites. It's the first me and Doug built, and it's the first one we exhibited. And so you can't really beat that. I do like my micro one with all the little towns. That's quite clever, but we'll see. I like them all really. It's like everything, isn't it? It's like music. It depends what mood you're in on the day.
Yeah. Tempted to do budget O gauge.
Not O gauge because there's no chassis.
Oh wait, I've missed a load. Hold up. Have you ever won any shows with your layouts?
No. No.
You didn't even win in our own show.
I didn't even win in our own show.
You didn't even have to rig it so that you
didn't even rig it.
We didn't win.
We didn't win our own show. No, we will do at some point. We'll do. Is it called 0-16.5, which is
millimeter
O gauge on 00 track, because we can use the 040 chassis. There's no point doing O gauge because there's no cheap, ready available chassis. And if we could go and do wagons, but lots of other people do them. So
I like that Doug is now old enough to
Yeah.
have his own shed. And my own tools that don't belong to you.
I do.
No, my bench sander does not belong to you.
No.
My vice does not
The
belong
biggest
to you.
myth in railway modelling, well, there's several. The biggest one that annoys me is that 6x4 is the minimum layout. I mean, if you take this book, which I love, don't get me wrong, it saved my life on any number of occasions, but you turn to one of the pages here somewhere, and it says, in black and white, the minimum radius, if I can find it, for a double O gauge layout. Oh, I can't find it now. But anyway, it says it's 18 inches, which is 36 inches, which is a metre. And that's 6 inches more than first radius, so it's wrong. It's as simple as that, it's wrong. The majority of old locos will go around first radius, which is 2.5 foot. So that's, I think, the biggest myth that you hear said time and time again that puts off people going into model railways, because they buy the books, they talk to the shops, they get told 6x4 is the minimum small run, so they don't build one. And I've got one down in my study, which is 3 foot by 20 inches, and I'm running standard A4Os and rolling stock on it, and I'm having great fun, and it's a model railway. You know, you can build a shunting layout in a metre by 9 inches if you really want to. So I think those are the biggest myths. And the other big one is that don't use WD-40 and 3-in-1 oil, and we've got an update on that.
Ongoing experiment for that.
Should we tell them what we've done?
Sure, yeah, right, okay.
You tell them what we've done.
On May the 3rd, 2020, bored in lockdown, we decided, because everyone always says, 3-in-1 oil completely melts your locos. You know what, actually, I can give you all this little sneak preview, because I've edited the beginning of the video. So we got the same poor loco that we abuse every time. We took the chassis of it, and we got...
Well, chassis and motor.
Yeah, and motor, the whole thing. And we got a jar full of engine oil, and we put it in there and sealed the lid.
2050.
Yeah, we were
get.
only going to do it for a couple of months, and then we kept forgetting. And by this point in time...
Why?
Yeah, well, you can explain why. By this point in time, we've been forgetting for it so long, we're just going to leave it in there until May, and it'll be in there for a whole year.
We got told when we did our original, there's nothing wrong with WD-40 and 3-in-1 oil, that 3-in-1 oil would melt plastic.
I have no idea where it is.
Except for the people that told us it would make it hard, or that it would do this. So nobody can decide. So we thought, well, if we dump a loco in cheap oil for a year, let's see if it softens it. Could be wrong, it could be right.
It's this one, right, hang on. I can't remember which one of these I have to tick so you can hear it.
Well, it doesn't matter if you can hear it, it's showing the pictures.
Yeah, it definitely matters if you can hear it. You need to hear it. I think this means you can hear it. Let's see. There we go. This is what we did. No, you can't hear it.
No. Anyway, loco.
Loco in a jam jar.
Pickled loco, jam jar.
I'm wearing gloves to make it look more
cheap
dramatic.
Poundland 2050 motor oil, so definitely not what you'd recommend for your locomotive.
No. Yeah, Paul Brennan, this is in my shed.
And it'll be there for a year. Now, at the moment, it hasn't dissolved.
No, we do look at it every now and then. It's all right at the moment.
Now, I'm not saying it'll run, but that's not the point. I mean, somebody the other day telling me that he'd sprayed his track once with WD-40 and all the sleepers disintegrated and fell off the track. Well, that's just... sorry, a friend had. It's always a friend. So, it's just an old wives' tale. Spraying WD-40 on your track once is not going to dissolve your sleepers.
And then we get the fantastic pickled loco.
We decided we'd call it a pickled loco, because if any of you at a certain age will remember your parents or your nanny making pickled onions and leaving them in the shed.
You should make pickled onions and put them in the shed.
Yeah.
That's gross. There you go. So what was the date? May 3rd, 2020 we did that.
Yeah, so we might leave it a year.
And then stuck it on there.
Somebody says the microphone's too close to me, but it can't be. I'm about 3 feet from it.
There you go. That was the proof. Sunday 3rd of May.
So anyway, in a year's time we'll take that out and see if it might run. Even if it doesn't run, what we're trying to prove is it hasn't.
We put it on a shelf.
Now, we could be wrong. We could be wrong. It might be a pile of useless gunk. My gut feeling is it won't be. The problem is that there was a guy, I know I've said this before, but there was a guy who religiously takes all the traction tyres off his Fleischmann locos because in the 1960s his traction tyres perished. Yeah, that's like 60 years ago. They're completely different materials now. But he religiously does it, won't take the chance. And this is the problem we've got. Because trying locos dissolve because they weren't proper plastic when you put oil on them 60 years ago, the myth's still there. It's like the one I've said before where, you know, somebody put something about Sherman Firefly tanks in a book in 1960, got it wrong, admitted he'd got it wrong about 10 years later. 40 years later, there's still people repeating it. Because Gerald Scarborough said they were all on the Mark II. No. You know, and this is the problem. And it's interesting, we've challenged a number of people to say, have you had 3-in-1 oil or WD-40 cause you a problem? And it's always a friend. Yeah, I've got a friend who has. Yeah, no, that's not what I asked. You know.
So, someone said, people forget that almost every modern engine contains plastic parts.
The particularly good one was the guy that told us that 3-in-1 oil would melt plastic, but it's a plastic bottle. It's not in a metal tin.
That's a fair
It's in a
point.
plastic bottle. So his answer then was, oh, well, it's different plastic. Yes, but you've just said that 3-in-1 oil melts plastic.
And the
it's in a
3-in-1
plastic
oil's
bottle.
plastic bottle isn't hard plastic, it's really soft.
Yep. So we will see. We will see.
Will Doug's shed be his new home for when he's 18 and has to move out?
Yeah. He's got changing the locks when he's 18. He knows that. Unless we put him in the Navy.
I'll already be gone.
Yeah, I use WD-40 to clean rails. It's great. And then somebody told me it will melt my traction tyres. How can one wipe of WD-40 on a rail melt my traction tyres?
WD-40 is a no on model train layout. I can send you a link to a video where we
please look at the video.
Pointless.
It's wrong, I'm afraid. There's nothing wrong with WD-40. Quite a few of us will tell you that we use them regularly over non-running locos, and it works a treat. Cleans rails a wonder. Nothing wrong with WD-40 on model railways.
3-in-1 oil has saved at least 5 of my older locos.
Yep. It isn't.
WD-40 is Loco Reviver, not Loco Killer.
Yeah, we all know that WD-40 stands for Water Displacement 40. In fact, when my father was still alive, when it first came out in the UK, it was called Rocket WD-40 for that very reason. It also says lubricates on the can, and you can also use whatever you like. I actually use antibacterial cleaner to clean my rails because it's only £1 a bottle from Poundland.
And it says cleaner on it.
And it's a cleaner, and what it does, it cleans all the crap off your rails. There's a lot of nonsense, I'm afraid, spoken about it. It's not the oil you use, it's how much. The problem with 3-in-1 oil is people don't put it in a little tray and then use a pin to put a drop on. They get the whole can and shake it like vinegar on fish and chips. Having said that, we proved in our video that even if you did that, it wouldn't stop the motor running. If anybody remembers it, we covered a loco in 3-in-1 oil and clag out of a Hoover bag, and it still ran. So I'm afraid 3-in-1 oil won't stop your loco running.
She cleaned off the cogwheel with a bit of kitchen roll. It was fine. Ever considered doing a layout with a snow scene?
Yes, but I've never done it.
Never done it. Lewis Hughes says, I think in some Hornby instructions they say 3-in-1 is fine.
Yeah,
yes, they do. They say
they do.
lubricate with 3-in-1 oil.
Yeah. Now, would I go spraying a £200 DCC loco with WD-40 and 3-in-1 oil? No, I wouldn't. But we don't do that. I use, what is effectively Hornby, next time you do a price rise, 50-year-old technology. So it's fine.
Well, budget the bear's wage. He gets paid in custard creams. I get paid in bourbons.
Yeah.
And I
don't get paid.
Yeah, we just don't pay you. You're T-boy.
And quite right, use whatever oil you like. What the problem is when people tell us you must not. That always gets my back up. Tell me I can't do anything. I'm always a problem. And I'm quite happy for people to use DCC. I'm quite happy for people to use Teflon rocket oil if that's what they're able to buy at 4p a gallon, or £200 a gallon, and they're happy. It's when people tell us that we can or cannot. Go and use DCC. Happy for you to use DCC. Computer control it off your phone via a satellite if that's what you want to do.
It's the only way though.
But don't tell us it's the only way. Don't tell us that unless you spent £2,000 and 6 years building it, it's not a proper model railway. It's all. But the way I always get everybody that has a go at me off the line is I say it's all playing with trains, and at that point the steam comes out their ear, their heads explode, and they walk away. But it is all just playing with trains. Really sorry. It's the same with war games. If you tell them it's just playing toy soldiers, they get very upset. Box file's been done. Will the bear be experimented on in the future? No!
Are we going to experiment on him? No! We don't have anything to experiment on with the bear.
How would we experiment with the bear?
Nobody said that WD-40 would melt the bear, so we don't need to test that.
the Christmas sets are all right. There's not a lot to review. They are the standard 040 Loco, which will be brilliant.
Standard wagons with Christmas load.
The Christmas is all very well and good, and it's a great way of bringing families and children into the hobby, but it's not great for middle of the year when you want to run shunting in your layout and you've got Christmas over everything. If that doesn't bother you, they're great. I wouldn't buy one at Christmas. I'd buy one after Christmas when they go down to £45 or £50. It's a great way of getting an okay controller, some track and some rolling stock. It's a cheap way of doing it, actually.
And this is a very cheap, fantastic controller. Have you ever contemplated doing a small parcels or mail
yes,
terminal?
But it's just time and room. We do have plans for the N-gauge layout. I have 2 N-gauge layouts. We were only discussing it yesterday, but it's all time and space.
Can we have some stories about your encounters with cantankerous rivet counters?
My favourite is an old boy who, when we did the first exhibition and we had Green Hill Hall, and we got it rigged quite well between me and Doug, and we had 3 040s going around it, and we had a blue one, a red one and a green one, and the green one was going up and down the hill, and I was showing a little girl who was absolutely thrilled with it, and I said, well look, there's a red Loco, and oh look, it's changed to a blue Loco, and if you look in a minute, there's a green Loco going up the hill, and this guy just went, red, green, blue, and stormed off. I particularly like one of our subscribers who walks up to the layouts and starts making choo-choo train noises when they're taking it too seriously.
Oh, well, there was mine at one of the shows when I was filming all the layouts, and he's like,
yes,
have you not got enough photos yet? I'm like, sorry.
What, so you don't want people photographing your layout?
Photographing your layout.
They do have a standard BR Black 040 in the Hornby range now. It's £42. I bought Douglas one new for a present once for £10 from Hornby. It shouldn't be £42. It should be £32. But I've ranted on about that enough. WD-40 will melt the bear.
I mean, it now. It probably will. I don't know what he's made of. I
think that's what the bear thinks of that. Spray with WD-40.
I don't actually know what it's made of. 100% poly.
Oh, Bob and Bob. Yes, one day when we really.
Bob and Bob. Well, the problem is we've waited too long for Bob and Bob now, so it's just going to be completely illegal and get us.
One day when we really want to get taken off the air, we will do Bob and Bob. For anybody that doesn't know, Bob and Bob is 2 voices that I do that are 2 rail enthusiasts.
It's a fictional story.
2 fictional guys at an exhibition, and basically Bob says things like,
"You got the ticket counter."
Bob, are we running trains on the wrong gauge? Shut up, Bob, we don't talk about that sort of thing or we get thrown out of the club.
So that's the ticket counter, Bob, and then this is like one budget, Bob.
Shouldn't they be 19 mil? No, Bob, we don't talk about things like that. But you said the other week that guy's Loco was wrong because he was 2 millimetres too long. But all our Locos have got the wrong width wheels. Bob, if you keep talking heresy like that, you'll get us thrown out of the club. Now shut up and go and have a look at that Evening Star. And we just do a whole routine really on that.
That's worse. Or better, depending on what.
Well, we can't tell the real Bob story because we really would get taken off there.
Yeah, that's the real Bob story. Bob and Bob became real one day.
Bob became very real one day. But it's just a joke thing we've always done to kind of take the mick out of the rivet counters.
Hey, Sparky's here. I haven't seen Sparky in ages.
You get rivet counters in every hobby. I mean, I did wargaming for years. I think one of the problems, particularly in the railway world, is it's nostalgia. So the steam trains were about when they were kids, and they're recreating their childhood, and understandably, they're taking that really seriously. The trouble is, they had a very. I was reading a book the other day by a real steam enthusiast, and he was saying, you know, the engine drivers when they switched to diesel thought Christmas had come early. Clean cabs, nice working conditions, no more hard work. It was only the enthusiasts that, missed the steam going, and they want to they're not recreating a railway, they're recreating the idyllic view they had of their childhood, which obviously, as we all know, as when we were younger, it never rained in the summer and all our friends were wonderful, and there was always, lots of lovely food to eat. It's a myth, but unfortunately that's what they're trying to recreate. They then decide they've got to tell the rest of us that that's the way we must do it. You do your railway your way and I'll do my railway my way. Our friend whose little girl runs the, he's got a pink Loco. Well, we made him a pink Loco, to be fair. Emmy's daughter, Dib's Shunting Yard, Emmy's daughter, they're building a pink and purple layout, and they've got flowers painted on the wagons and mushroom cowhouses and a little pink castle on top of the hill, and the rocks are all pink and purple.
Perfect.
So we painted one of our industrial shunters. I painted it 2 different shades of pink, white handrails, and put a chassis in it and sent it to her, because I just think that's wonderful. You know, that's the future of the hobby. Quite frankly, if I had the space, I would make a pink and purple and flowery layout, just out of sheer fun of doing something different. And if we ever do another exhibition, that layout's coming, because I just got to see the rivet canvas face when a pink diesel goes around the layout with a purple hill.
I don't think we'd be able to make a custom wagon to pull him around the layout, because in comparison to a train, he's pretty big.
Just to answer Jeff, no, 16.5 is on 00 tracks, why it's called 16.5. So end scale would be really, really narrow gauge.
Mate, to be fair, that's ON 16.5. Is that different?
Oh, it might be.
Is there multiple things?
Oh, perhaps I speak wrong. I apologise. I stand corrected. It wasn't just you, and it wasn't just Thomas the Tank Engine. The whole... I read one steam engine book, and you'd have thought the diesels, which actually saved the railways, let's get that right, and had they come in 10 years earlier, properly, and not bodged, they would have saved a lot of branch lines. And the trouble was, the steam enthusiasts just took against them. So, you know, oh, they're dirty and noisy. Have you seen how much steam and smoke a steam engine makes?
A lot.
Any diesel pales in insignificance. Yes, the first diesels were unreliable, some of them, but they were utterly, in the end, far more reliable and efficient. They needed about half as many diesels to do the work that double the number of steam trains needed to do, but they all took against it. And there's even one guy who says the whole decline of model railways came when they did away with steam. I still read people that say the branch line died with steam trains, and then I find photographs of branch lines running freight trains with diesels 20 years later. Sorry guys, it's just another one of those urban myths that the railways have got. It's like poor old Dr. Beeching. There were more railways shut before Beeching than after Beeching. Beeching in fact wanted to expand some of the railways, and the plan wasn't followed through from a freight point of view as much as it would. Most of those lines had never made any money. Now some shouldn't have been shut, so locally we've got at least 2 lines which they then realised quite quickly. Some of the lines that were shut were very underhand, but that wasn't his fault. They deliberately changed figures. Hailing Island and the Helsham line, the Cuckoo line, are 2 famous ones where they now know that it was basically a con job.
Oops.
But yeah, you know, they all took against diesels, but actually diesels would have saved the railways had they come in. America, don't forget, dieselised 20, 30 years before, although they've got nothing like the passenger railway that we have, and they haven't got and are never going to have a high-speed rail line, which is amazing if you think about it. One of the most developed countries in the world does not have and is never going to have high-speed rail lines.
Worst article in a magazine. I think it might well have been that 3D printing one in that magazine, because they had no idea what they were talking about, coming from a professional 3D'er.
Yeah, there's and I think anything that I've seen, some that are very, very heavy on the anything that's not perfect, modelled on June the 26th in Little Snodgrass on the Great Western Line, isn't a model railway. Anything like that is just, you know, kindling for the fire, really.
What tier are we in? The whole country's in lockdown.
Yeah, so the whole country's in the same place, mate. Not that some of my people around here seem to know that, but... yeah, I mean, if you're making model railway on a very small budget, keep it small, keep it simple, and buy as much second-hand as you can, including track. One of the biggest myths in model railways is don't buy second-hand track. We've never bought new track. None of the layouts we've ever bought have ever got new track on them.
Yeah.
We've only ever bought second-hand track. I've just bought a load of steel track at the moment. Points I buy second-hand for £5, half the price of new ones. You know, I don't get... The points I can understand. If you buy a ropey second-hand Hornby point, they can be a bit dodgy. In fact, the only one we've ever had go wrong was the only new point we ever bought. But ordinary track is metal on plastic. You clean it, how does it go wrong? If the fish plate is bashed, you change the fish plate. So why wouldn't you... I've just bought some second-hand track for 1/3 of the price of new. You know, why do people say don't use second-hand track? Don't get it. Don't get it. Why do people love the Great Western Railway? Because it was, I think, one of the first railways that, even if you read Cyril Fletcher in the 40s and the 50s, they were sick of the Great Western Railway by then. 75 quid for an LGB track, that's good. Yeah. First 10 locos you got, or can't remember, but they're mostly diesel.
GWR 040.
GWR 040,
Joof steam loco.
Big loco. Then the 060 that we built, that came in the same box as the youth one. Yeah. Deltic. Evening Star.
Yeah,
it was quite early, Evening Star. I think then a Lima Class 33 in HO, because I didn't know any better. I still love it. I'm not sure after that. All sorts of things, really. Just got a bit carried away. Yeah, I mean, 3D printers are fine if you've got the software skills to design stuff. If you haven't, you might be able to get enough stuff free off the internet to make some interesting bits for your model railway. Doug made me some motorbikes for my micro layout that, yes, you just download the images and they print. But even then, you've got to know how to transfer it onto the software for your printer. And when things go wrong...
That was honestly one of the hardest things. I knew, when we first got into the 3D printing, I knew how to do this designing already. So we already had quite a few designs that we'd already done before we even bought the printer, because we wanted to make sure I could design them before we did. And then after that, I found out that there's a whole new load of software you have to learn to turn your designs into something the printer can read, which is called slicing. And that took me forever to work out how to get properly.
And it's when it goes wrong. So I mean, you know, when it does the barbed wire bit, you know, or it does the all comes apart
spectacularly
bit,
wrong.
you know, unless you've got a teenager that knows, oh yes, I need to press this button, oh yes, I need to water this setting, you know, you've got a problem really.
Can you do a backflip?
No. Hello to Guatemala. Great to hear from somebody that far away. Wonderful.
I can do a front flip.
Right, Dad's Army of Blackadder. Ooh, well, we're not going to talk about railways, but Dad's Army, because it went on for longer, and Blackadder's the Elizabethan Blackadder is the best thing ever watched, but the World War one, the only one really that's any good is the last one, whereas all of Dad's Army are brilliant. I know why you've asked that question, and some of you know what I do for another hobby, and believe me, not any of those characterisations correct. Most of the characterisations in Dad's Army still exist in parts of, shall we say, the reserves of the Army Cadet Force. And do my people think I'm Captain Mannering? Yeah, almost certainly, even if the rank is wrong. Yeah, second-hand. Yeah, you will get some issues around second-hand points if you're unlucky. If I was going to buy anything new in the UK, I'd buy new Pico points because I know they're reliable. I wouldn't buy new Hornby points, but I've not that been unlucky with second-hand points. The Meon Valley line is one of my favourite lines because I used to work till I retired. That was one of the areas I used to work in. I used to follow that line, and on the week I retired, I found West Meon Station, the remains of, and I'd been sitting in a crappy little car park having lunch up the road in West Meon for about 20 years. And this bloody car park with platforms, cattle docks, remains of the station. That's the only time I ever got together. Yeah, it's a fabulous line, and it is one of the lines they now regret closing, because it was a diversionary line down to the docks, in the same way as the Cuckoo line and the Bluebell line and the Lavender line would have been diversionary routes. There's now only one route, the Brighton line. And that's why they are talking about opening either the Uckfield or the Bluebell line. The Bluebell line, because what the Bluebell Railway would like to do is, there's a line from Horsted Keynes to Ardingly and Haywards Heath. Half of it exists. It was a quarry. It's still there, and the track bed exists for the other half. The Bluebell could then link at both ends, Haywards Heath and East Grinstead, with main line. And when they linked with the main line, it added 10,000 visitors a year, which is why obviously the Kent and East Sussex wants to link with Robertsbridge. Bluebell's other cunning plan, I think, is in the hope that then they could lease the line when they want to use it as a diversion, bringing more income in. But yes, there's 3 or 4 lines that should never have been closed, although there are 26 lines that they're looking to reopen that are either freight lines that don't have any passengers, or the track bed is there, but of course they haven't got any money. They want the local community to pay for it. So interesting. If you ever want to read a good book, I think it's called I Tried to Run a Railway, and it was written by a senior BR manager in the 1960s, and he actually came up with, if you want the station to stay open, the local council and the people help fund it, and he did it in 2 places and they saved the railway, but BR wouldn't pick it up and run with it. Some trolls in somewhere?
No, I'm monitoring you all on there. No trolls, yeah. there are, you're going to get kicked out instantly.
We've been to the Spa Valley and it's a great place. Yeah, I like the Spa Valley. It does have some great diesels. Yeah, track is job lots. Don't buy individual bits of track second hand. That's a mug's game. I mean, I just bought a job lot. Some of it wasn't quite as nice as I'd like. It still only cost me a third of new price. You have to be a little bit careful. Many years ago I bought a big job lot, got it, left it, had a quick look at it. A year later when I took it apart, it was crap. I'd missed all the bits in the middle. A bit like counterfeit notes that they do in the films where it's up all right at the top and the bottom, but the middle's all crap. But by and large, having said that, I have bought a lot of second-hand cheap, track cheap. I say if you get it from a show or somewhere like Classic Rail that sells it, then obviously you can inspect it there and then and you're away.
Could show the old maps of the old railways in Eastbourne.
Yeah, sometime, yeah. I haven't watched the tip for Thunderbolt since I was a kid.
I've never heard of it.
Cardboard with paper stuck over is obviously what I use. We have about 6 new locos and everything else, which is quite a lot, are second hand. So again, you know,
Everything else, which is too much.
And fortunately, most of it I bought up to about 2 years ago when prices were, even this year, were sensible. If push comes to shove, I can sell them all for more than I paid for them. Prices now, second hand, you've got to be buying locos you want to keep. Because if the prices come down again, this bubble's not going to stay. It's up because of COVID, because people are at home and they're bored, and in some cases they've got some money. So you know, it's dodgy to buy too much at the moment, I think, because I think second hand might come down again.
Do you do 009 kits? Yes, we have a large range of 009 locos and rolling stock.
Oh, I used to look after the fleet of Eastleigh. There have been some great diesels. The most expensive loco I've ever bought was one of the new Hornby ones. I paid £56, I think, including postage. But it should have been an £85 loco, so it's still a bargain. Hello to the Philippines. I mean, 009 has just got bonkers. You know, £120 for a loco, and you know, £40 for a coach that's half the size of the Hornby 040 coach. Which is one of the reasons, I guess, that we're selling absolute mountains of 009
We're
stock.
selling so much 009 on our website, like more than other gauges. Normally we sell loads of 00 and not much anything else.
There are lots of people selling stock, but they don't know anything about it, and they're trying to get absolutely top dollar for it. So there is a lot of junk out there at very high prices, particularly on eBay. No, I don't like detailing stock. I'm happy with it as it is. Sorry, but I am. It's not part of the hobby that interests me. I'm not going to go changing numbers, and you know, I like getting old wrecks and repainting them to my awful standard and being happy with them. But no, I'm not the least bit interested in detailing locos, I'm afraid.
I'm making a model train layout on a budget of $100 to $200 in my early teens.
That's why I said second hand. You know.
Yeah, just second hand. eBay is your best friend.
Yeah.
Especially during like lockdowns when you can't really go to second hand shops. eBay is a giant second hand online shop. So
the two cheapest locos I've got are obviously the two Mahano ones. One cost me £2 and one cost me £1. I do have a Hornby B12 that Sebastian in Eastbourne Models and Hobbies very kindly gave me because it wasn't running, and I got it running again. So you can't get it cheaper than free, basically.
Hello from New Zealand.
Oh, hi New Zealand. We're still doing the Tram Loco kit, and it's still our best-selling kit.
Yeah, we don't take down any of the kits once they're on our website, even if we have like new versions, like our diesels. We keep up the old versions.
Hi to Z. Thank you for watching. No, I don't have any factory weathered locos. I have weathered a few of my own using dry brushing, which I'm quite happy with. But I'm not. It's where do you draw the line? You know, yeah, I know all locos weren't pristine and clean, but you've got to be very brave, I think, to weather them yourself, because it's going to knacker the value of them, however well you think you've done it. And professionally is a lot of money, and it just doesn't bother me enough. I'm quite happy to have my pristine locos running around. I'm playing trains, you know. It's a bit different when I used to do wargaming, because, you know, tanks run across the field, they do tend to get at least muddy. But then I wasn't thinking about what's the resale value going to be. So, oh yeah, Kato's epic. I mean, actually, I must correct myself. We have bought new track. I did buy Kato track for N-gauge.
This is true.
Because I found the Pico track that I was buying second hand too unreliable. And the Kato track isn't much more than Pico track, and it's already got ballast. And you clip it together and it runs beautifully. So yeah, I have bought new track, to be fair. I bought Kato track in. But I would have bought it second hand if I could have done. Yeah, America prices are mad too. Well, do you want to talk about Hornby 04 chassis? People have listened to me enough, probably.
Hornby 040 chassis.
Where did we buy them?
We did buy them on Hornby, because Hornby was sensible at one point in time and sold them on their website for like £7 each, and then they stopped.
Which was interesting, because why is the Loco £42 when the chassis will retail at £8, and you're not telling me a piece of painted plastic costs £32 retail?
So you just got to buy second-hand ones on eBay, which are still fine.
The Hornby Class 25 is a fantastic Loco if you can get a good one, especially if you can get one of the two-tone green. You will have to pay £35 to £40 for them now. I paid 25 quid for mine. I've got 3 of them. I paid 30, I think, for one of the green ones. This is what I said earlier. You've got to decide how much you want it, because I think in 2 years' time, when the prices have come down again, you might kick yourself if you paid 40 or 50 quid for one. But at the moment, you're going to have to pay 40 quid for one. But it's about £10 more than I'd want to pay.
Have you tried laser cutting? I used to do it loads when I was at school in the design technology lab, but for buying a laser cutter, I don't really see what we'd do with it. Our 3D printer is more versatile for what we do.
Metcalf kits are good and sturdy, but they are too expensive and too big for most of what I do, so I tend to use Super Quick. But they're a superb product, don't get me wrong, but they're big. They're really big, and they are creeping up in price. Right, terminology. We have got a video on, I think it's for complete beginners, where I do explain most of the terminology. As I say, don't worry too much. Go and get yourself. I'm sure they've got them.
Spin me around.
Sure.
Ow!
Sorry. Get yourself something like that, and that explains it all. They're quite good. You can get a few of them second hand as well. But it's not complicated once you've got it. We might do a video on it one day.
What chassis did we use for the diesel that's on the thumbnail? That's just a standard Hornby 040 chassis in our industrial diesel kit.
Tutorial Tuesdays, yes. I would like to do them, but they are time consuming, which sounds daft because we've got a lot of time. But we are very busy with lots of things at the moment. When I get time, I will do some Tutorial Tuesdays, but they are complicated. So that building that I made the other day took me a couple of hours. If I'm going to film it, I've got to make 4 versions of that so that I can do a sequence. I want that building for a layout. I haven't got time to build 4 versions so I can get one. I'm trying to get to a point where I've got the time to do a proper Tutorial Tuesday where I can say, like Blue Peter, here's one I built earlier. You can see the construction in there. But we do have, for instance, lots of tutorials already, and it is getting to the stage of, well, what would we do that we haven't already done? The only one I want to do that we haven't already done is painting people, because I'm actually quite good at that from years of painting Wargames figures.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Now we're not going to hurry it along because somebody else is on soon. If you want to go and watch somebody else, please go and watch somebody else.
If you're choosing between us and somebody else, you shouldn't be here anyway, because there should be no choice. It should be us.
I did scratch build a class out. It's one of the first ones I ever did, and next time we do a live stream I'll bring it up. I should have brought it up. Yes, there is something.
Everything up.
Yeah, I should have brought everything up. You're quite right. I've seen loads of people knocking Kato number 4 turnouts, so I don't know what's wrong with them. Well, the only second-hand 08 in black is the Lima one, and they can be awful. So I really wouldn't pay too much money. I certainly wouldn't pay the money that people are paying, and I wouldn't buy a black one anyway, because they weren't used very much. Blue one's much better, or even a green one, or buy a new Bagnall for what basically you'll pay for a Lima black.
I hate to break it to you, Dad, everyone wants to see the Terrier.
I'll go and see if I can find it. Opinion on the Lima 08 I've just given. We've got 2. They're alright. They are a bit basic. They're not very smooth runners. They're not the world's greatest shunters. I certainly wouldn't pay the £30-35 that people are asking for them at the moment. For that money, I'd buy a Hornby Bagnall new and be done with it. I would never use PVA to stick track down because you can't lift it again afterwards. I would always use track screws and not track pins, because when you want to lift the track, and you will always want to lift the track because you'll either change what you want or something will break, I would always use track screws. Absolutely worth it. The honest answer is I could paint you a model, but I simply haven't got the time. Is the honest answer. Buy yourself some paint and have fun painting it, and don't worry what it looks like. It'll be yours then. Funny stories at model railway shows.
Do we have any others we haven't seen yet?
Well, there was the guy at Model World, and there's a fabulous layout. I think it's called Dudley Central or something, and it's a round layout. It's very, very clever. Decent.
Dulwich Vale.
Dulwich Vale.
Dulwich Vale, yeah.
And we'd seen it in Railway Modeller, and we were really excited to see it there, and we were really enjoying it. And classic rivet counter. Hadn't showered for at least a month, at least. Very large man, anorak. Sorry, I'm not making this up. You know, and stood next to me and went, oh, look at that, he's running such and such colour scheme with such and such colour. Look at the clearances on that platform. What do you make of all that? And I looked at him and I think the layout's wonderful. I don't give a shit about anything that you're talking about.
Alright.
Sorry, I don't give...
I will block you from your own
I
screen.
don't care at all, my man, about what your views are, and thank you for sharing them with me. And off he went.
Much better.
You know, there are some complete idiots out there, really. On the other end of the scale, my favourite story is... the first time we exhibited Greenhill Hall, and it was the very end of the last day at Bluebell, and there was a guy just stood opposite us, just not saying much, just watching the layout go around. And I always engage people because I was a salesman and I used to work at trade shows, so I always engage with people. And I sort of said to him, oh, you know, do you like the layout? And he just looked up and he went, that's a proper model railway, that is. That is exactly what a model railway is. And it just made my day. And it was just a nice layout. I really enjoyed that one.
What paint do you use for 3D printed kits? Just standard?
Yeah, I tend to use the Hornby RC range because they cover really well.
Or Humbrol acrylics? Or...
but yeah, so not Hornby, I meant Humble. I'm talking rubbish, he's talking common sense.
Anyway, everyone's saying terrier.
Well, you have to keep talking then.
What am I going to talk about? Hello, it's me now.
Bear in mind, I don't know where it is.
Well, you're going to be forever in your mess.
Yeah.
I'll move to the middle. Hello. I'll take your seat. It's me now. £250 for the DCC Loco. It's impressively expensive, but if that's what you like, then that's what you like. The track screws. Just... they're on eBay. I'm not sure where. Doug, now is the time to revolt. What am I I already own Budget Model Railways. What am I meant to revolt about? He's my employee. Yeah, you'll get some sense now. The numpty's gone. Hopefully he just doesn't watch this back. Don't think I'd ever be tempted by DCC due to the price. I mean, it's probably going to be like all technology where eventually the price of it will come down to a sensible value, in which case maybe, who knows, we might do it too.
There you go, so I'll take it out as well. I know everybody loves terriers, and I've always wanted one, so when I saw this at Richards for, I think it's 40 or 45, which is a good price really for them. It is a wonderfully detailed Loco. That's the Great Western one, which is quite rare, I think. It does run quite smoothly. It wants a bit of a run in. It was a bit juddery on my shunting layout, but it didn't really like the small curves. Yeah, they're great. Yes, it is a lot more detailed. Yes, I do like it. Do I like it any more than some of my 04s? No, not really. But for a little small Loco that's quite good at a sensible price, would I pay the whatever they are now? £80 or £90 for one? No, I wouldn't. Same as these actually, which is the Sentinel. That's a fantastic Loco. I paid 50 quid for that second hand. They're currently about 65 second hand. They're 80 to 100 new. Would I pay 80 to 100 for one? No. But you know, they're nice Locos.
How are my studies going?
Well, it's all virtual, isn't it?
Is painful. Engineering is fine. Electronics is very interesting. Physics is fine, but also incredibly painful. There you go.
The main problem is because they can't do anything practical. The engineering.
Electronics is meant to be a practical.
Yeah.
Engineering is a full BTEC practical, so at least in electronics there is theory. But engineering is full practical, and physics has a large amount of practical.
But basically, you're doing maths because they can't do any of the practical at the moment. They're waiting for next year when hopefully they can do face to face.
For all the subjects, which is maths.
Which is maths.
For all of the subjects.
And Doug's doing 4, not 3 subjects, and so you think most people do 2.
And then we have 4
sometimes
hours
3
per subject per week. So I'm doing 16 hours a week of maths.
So he's.
I don't like it.
I came in the other day. And I don't know if anybody's seen the film. Is it The Accountant, where he's got maths all over the wall, and it looked like that? It was just this great mass of equations. So I struggled with 2 plus 2 with my 1970s maths education. No, it's not the Oxford Sentinel, it's the Hornby one. Oxford make the Janus. Now the Oxford Janus, if you can get one for 50 quid now, buy it, because that is one of the nicest locos available. They were 100 when I bought mine for 50. They are now, there's a lot of places that have got them for 50, and I would buy the Oxford or Hornby, whatever you want to call it, Janus for 50 quid, because you are not going to get a better shunter at that price. No, the Terrier won't go, well, it sort of goes around my 10-inch radius curves. It's not over happy. Now, strange enough, the older Hornby Terrier chassis I've got under a Daypole diesel body is fine, absolutely fine. But they're all right. They're not over happy with it. Bevan's a maths teacher.
Dear maths teacher, how do logarithms work? I don't understand them. I understand natural logarithms, they're fine. I don't get logarithms though, the normal like base 10 number this and then exponent it out. I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean Bluetooth and all that's fantastic. If that's what you want to do, it will never be as cheap as buying a £10 controller and connecting 2 wires to a bit of track and running trains.
Although it's good future proofing, because I'm guessing if it's Bluetoothable, your phone becomes your controller.
Yeah, no, I've seen it and it's wonderful, but I've also seen a guy at an exhibition literally with his iPad going, look at me, making sure everybody could see that he was doing it on his iPad. And then every so often, when nobody was looking, giving the Loco a little shove because it stalled on the points.
It requires an app, and half of the model railway community are over 50 and have old phones that can't have apps.
That's a very good point.
That's brilliant.
The Hornby website is expensive because that's what manufacturers do. That's their price. Never buy it from Hornby because it will always be. I mean, it's £42 plus £4 postage. The new Bagnall, and I've just paid $37.80 from Jadlam Racing, including postage. So it's just the way it works. I won't get into that just at the moment.
What happens when you throw Budget the Bear under a bus?
Well, you get squished like everybody else.
We're not throwing Budget
Logs are a way of getting powers down to the normal line of working.
Yeah, I know, but I don't. In like the logs we do in maths is fine, but the logs we do in engineering, it's like logging a bunch of numbers times by logging a bunch of more numbers.
I can do a log. You get a saw and cut it at each end.
And then equals logging a bunch of numbers to different bases and stuff, plus log A, and then it says work out A. I'm like,
no, logs, piece of wood cut at each end. No, I'm not going to buy the Hornby DC control system because it's done by a mobile phone or tablet. Why would you? Oh, I'm sorry. If that's what you want to do, personally, why would you do that when I can get a controller? Where's your controller? Doug, where have you put the controller?
I've got to say, how much is it? I'm interested.
Where have you put your controller?
Oh, here's our controller. This is superior.
I can do that for fast and slow and that for forwards and backwards, which is all a train can do. Tell me again why I need to do it on a phone? You know.
How do we make our profile pic? I just kind of messed around with it in Photoshop.
It's not good. We need to change it. My hair looks awful.
No, not that. This is our profile pic.
Oh, that one.
Our logo. Boom, logo. I think
the worst thing that somebody said to us at exhibition.
They don't really say bad things.
No,
they just
keep walking. They just keep walking. To be fair, we've never had. When Doug was little, I think he was 9 when we did 9 or 10 when we did the first one, and I actually said to him, "Look, I'm really sorry, son, but we might get some people being quite rude because this is a very basic layout. This isn't what people go to shows for. Nothing, absolutely nothing. We just had a wonderful 2 days with lots of families.
Because our first exhibition was at the Bluebell, so it's pretty much full of families anyway.
Yeah, it was just families and kids loving what we did. It was a wonderful 2 days. Because we realised after a while that certain people just kept walking. They would just take a glance and it hadn't, you know. But then you've got other layouts. There's one layout that was like amazingly built. Nothing ran for a quarter of an hour. There's one layout Doug went, was it 10 times in an hour? And there's still no trains running. Because the old boys are deciding what to run next. That was the one with the bells
at Bluebell, where it's like, ding ding, I'm going through now, ring-a-ling.
Or the guy at Model World one year, an epic model of a wartime railway in some odd EMP4 or whatever. Nothing ran. And I said to him, are you going to run any trains? No, I'm running the Sunday service timetable today, and there's another train in 45 minutes. It's like, mate, people want to see trains running, it's an exhibition.
Liam says hi from New Zealand. What time is it in New Zealand? Isn't it like the middle of the night or something? How much are our controllers? The single controller is £5.
Plus postage.
Plus postage. The double controller, unknown, because it doesn't exist yet, technically. You're all just lucky. You're on the live stream. You're the special group. You get to see things early. So
tutorial Tuesdays we've done. They're not gone. It's just trying to find the time to do them at the moment. The twin controller is going to be a couple of months or so till we can. We're just going to.
Less than that.
A month. We're going to line it out
within a month, because we're going to do. We're going to copy Hornby, and we're going to do the 2021 range, and we're just going to release a load all at once.
We visit other layouts and second-hand store because there's two of us. So one goes shopping and looking and filming, and one runs the layout. Somebody says, how do you manage to get away from your layout? There's always quiet bits, generally speaking.
Plus there's always loads of other exhibitors that you get put next to, and they'll always just
swap your layout for you. You see, don't forget, with our layouts, I mean, we literally turned up once, put it up, plugged it in, set a speed we liked on all 3 levels, and walked away and left it for 2 days. Turned it off at night, turned it on again in the morning. We're not shunting and we're not running computering, it just runs. So at one point we just disappeared for an hour and we came back and everything was still running, you know. Yeah, I don't get the whole era location. You're making a model railway, make what you like, run what you like. It's like people say, I'm gonna model a heritage railway so I can run what I like. Well, who's physically stopping you when you're stood in your shed from running whatever you like? Sorry, I don't get it. I don't get the whole let's do heritage railways. Why? Just build the layout model you like and run what you like. Nobody's going to stop you. You don't have to have an excuse to say it's a heritage railway so I can run what I like. It comes. There's a guy called Gerald Scarborough who wrote a book called, and I meant to get it for this, but it was something like Wargaming or something like that. Battle. I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, and he basically went. This is in the 1970s when there wasn't a lot of choice. Let's stop doing that army versus that army. Germans versus British, Americans versus Russians, whatever. Each army needs a tank, a truck and a field gun. So just find which one you like and use it. And we'll all use the same trucks because it's just a truck, it doesn't matter. And that's a bit what I'm like with railways. I want a station, that one will do. I like that loco, I'll run it. It doesn't bother me that I might have a bright blue Coronation Scott running around next to a LNER, next to a Great Western, and people going, well, where would that have happened? I don't know and I don't care. They look nice running around my layout. I don't need the excuse of saying it's a heritage railway, personally. But if that's what you like.
It's 9:24 in New Zealand in the morning.
Is it? Ah.
Are you in England? Yes, we're in England. The southeast coast. Anything new coming in Engage? Yes.
Did that a bit earlier.
We could show it again. There is, because we did it right at the beginning, which was kind of.
I don't have World War II models, strangely enough. I have post 1945 models. If you ever look at my videos, they're mostly Saracens and Saladins.
So in Engage we have this coming soon, which is a Bobo rail bus to fit on whatever Kato chassis it is the Bobo diesel fits on. It's the same dimensions as the Bobo diesel, just a rail bus form. So yeah.
That keeps. We don't really need those suggestions. I've got first soldier. Yeah, I like soldiers. Yeah. No, poor old Doug still hasn't got a Pendolino. No, I keep looking, but they're just really expensive. Just really expensive.
I've lost the interest in a Pendolino.
Yeah. Yeah, under 10s aren't fussed what you run. Nobody's really fussed. I'd say, all the exhibitions we've done, nobody's ever really got that fussed. They're just like watching trains go around, you know.
I've slouched.
You've slouched.
Well, it's because I'm trying to reach my mouse because my chair's too far back.
Yeah. The virtual exhibition never really happened, did it?
No.
We only had about 3 people wanted to do it, and actually I noticed that a lot of the organisers of virtual exhibitions seem to have had the same thing.
Yeah. There was going to be loads, and then kind of none of them happened.
I think it's the same problem. Doug's had it with the Scouts, and I've had it with the Army Cadet Force. That initially it was all really exciting. We're going to do Zoom and we're going to do virtual, and it's really different.
Yeah, I went to all of the Scout virtuals right at the beginning, and I've just.
And now after nearly a year, people are going, "Nah, I can't be asked." And you know, some people we're getting 20% turn up at events, so I think that's the problem with that.
Yes, our designs are on SketchUp 2017 at the moment. They will eventually be in Autodesk AutoCAD when I learn that.
Oh, you got your antelope going, good. Yeah, it's effectively it's your layout, so you run whatever you're happy to run. You know. Did a Thomas Ford Gordon's not here because he's too expensive. Yeah, well, that's what happens. Again, I like Thomas. I know people enjoy it. I personally don't think it's the only way to bring people into the hobby. But there
which ones are more expensive, Thomas or the non-Thomas ones?
Thomas, because it automatically adds to the value.
Okay, what about if we 3D print the faces?
You can't, because one of the reasons SteamRail I stopped running Thomas events, if you will notice that quite a lot of them did, is because the company that owns the rights wants a small fortune.
And Drusilla's used to have a Thomas tank engine, and now it's just an unbranded green
they
frame.
defend it very fiercely. And so if they find anybody using Thomas unlicensed, you get lamped with an American-style lawsuit.
All fun.
So that's...
There'll be plenty of them dished out in the next few days. Do you ever look at forums like RM Web? No, not really. Occasionally I go on there and keyword search our name and see you lot talking about us. Luckily it's always good.
I've had the same problem that a number of our people have said. They're just full of, why are you running that Great Western coach in 1942 when they stopped using them in 1941? You know, you get poor lads saying, I want to start a railway, what should I do? Well, you've got to decide what era and what area, and then it's got to be DCC. And no. I have written histories for the layouts. I know them in my head because I like a justification for why the line is there. And the whole Falls Wharf one I've actually written several times. It's just knowing how to present it, really.
Yeah, this is our own forum. Welcome to Budget Model Railways. You can message us anywhere.
Yeah, we did look into doing forums, but you hit all the problems of moderation. And it's time. It's a bit like doing the newsletter. The newsletter was killed effectively by GDPR, if I get that right.
The General Data Protection.
But in any case, it was taking too much time to do. You know, he's got school. Okay, I'm retired, but I've got quite a demanding.
I don't have school.
Hobby, college. I beg your pardon, college. I've got a very demanding second hobby. We've had lots of family issues this year. We've got layouts to build and layouts to film and 3D models to make, and you just can't do everything.
And airsoft to go to, and Formula 1 to watch.
How do you connect 2 loops with Hornby power clips? Don't know, because I wouldn't use Hornby power clips. I'd always use powered fish plates. It shouldn't cause a problem if you're using isolating points, but you will need 2 controllers. It just depends on how the layout works. Personally, I wouldn't, unless you really have to, I wouldn't connect the 2 loops if you just want to run stuff. You've got an upline and a downline anyway, so if you want to be really rivet counter, they very rarely switched over. It's only if you've chopped a goods yard in there that you need to run around. So think about whether you actually need to link them. I haven't seen the Basic Lake Sci-Fi range yet, and Steampunk. It's a great idea of bringing people in, but again, I think the best way of bringing people in is to have a big cheap range, which it isn't. And I think Hornby are a huge trick. What time are we finishing? Probably about 9 o'clock. When you're all bored to death of me and I've run out of voice.
I don't know. I have to go to bed early because I've got to be up super early for virtual college.
Oh yeah, it is Monday tomorrow.
It's Monday tomorrow.
I've got a whole day of Army Cadet work tomorrow.
I mean, it's better being virtual, because normally, if it wasn't virtual, I'd have to wake up at like 6:45 to get on the train to go to college. And now I just have to move from there, because my bed is right there, to here, where my computer is. So I walk about a metre and I get to college.
He is very good. Having seen some of the people on telly saying how difficult it is to get children to motivate themselves at home, he is actually quite good. Leaves it all to the last minute, but 3 Railroad scale. Well, can you hold your? No idea what that's about.
What counts as early to teenage dark? I've got to be up at about 8:30 in the morning, which is shockingly early. Not as bad as 6:45, but still bad.
It is cheap models we need, because most people don't have the skills to make their own models. So whilst I agree with you, yes, you could do a load of stuff and people could make their own, they don't have those skills. The modelling skills just don't exist anymore. People my age, mid-50s, who were brought up with modelling have got modelling skills. A lot of people haven't now. And it's got to be a cheap range is what we need.
Yeah, we have these. I don't know if it's going to work. Yeah, I've never done it. No, there's someone on.
Yeah, I know.
They're not working.
No.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we've never done anything with them. Don't think we've ever sold any. That's not why we have them anyway, too. So they're just there for the sake of it.
So the lead time on the orders will always be a minimum of 28 days.
No, that's not specifically true.
Hang on. It's often a bit quicker. But having spent years in the retail trade, if I tell people it's often a bit quicker, you'll get loads of people going, "Why isn't my order coming? You said I could get it in a week."
For the most part, not necessarily as much at the moment, because we have a massive backlog of orders. But for the most part, all orders will be dispatched within 14 days. And then from there, it depends if you're in the UK or abroad. If you're in the UK, it's about 7 extra days of delivery.
It really depends,
abroad,
because
it can take
hang on, because you're setting us up for a problem here. Because people are going to watch this and say, "Oh, 14 days." No, that assumes that you are at home and you don't go back to college. It assumes I suddenly don't get a load of taskings. At which point it comes to 28 days. The answer is 28 days. If you get it in less than that, that's great. But each model takes 5 to 6 hours to print. We've got 4 printers. So you can do the maths and work out we can produce about 4 or 5 models a day. At the moment we're getting orders of double that. So each day we're another day behind. So each 7 days we're another 7 days behind. If they carry on at that rate, within a month we'll be a month behind.
Calm down. Paul Brennan says sorry for asking. Calm down.
I know, but you've got to be careful when you say to people all models will go out in 14 days.
Chill out.
No, they won't.
Chill out, bro. Chill
out.
They
won't.
Chill out. Calm yourself down.
No, but
calm down.
You know my view on it.
Chill.
So I had a lot of Mahano trains, which are Yugoslavian, which are very good, very underrated. I have a few UF, which are French, and technically all the Lima are Italian. So yeah, yes, thank you, that train guy. That's what I was trying to persuade him. You tell people it's 28 days, it arrives in 14, they're happy. You tell them it's 14, it arrives in 14, they're on the phone wanting to know why it didn't arrive yesterday. So
we don't have a phone number on our website, they can't call us.
Yeah.
You can spam my email though. We missed a trick here, hang on. Is it 5 years we've been on YouTube? So we started when I was in year 7, so that's to 8 to 9 to 10 to 11 to year 12. Yeah, we've been doing YouTube for 5 years now and we didn't do anything special for it.
We've still got time. With scratch building, you just give it
no. Actually 2 days then we've been on YouTube for 5 years.
Yeah.
In 2 days it's our 5-year birthday.
So Tim plays live. Just keep practicing with the scratch building, it's not tricky. You know, if you can cut squares out, you can make that. It's not that tricky. If Doug passes all his A-levels, will you treat him to a Pendolino? Yeah, probably. He'll be off probably in ships and things once he finishes his A-levels.
Pass all my A-levels. Ooh.
He probably won't want it then.
Who is more powerful, me? Because I can fire you as my employee.
Homewood wasn't the biggest. The biggest layout we ever made was Rosenthal. And that was only a mistake in that we didn't have a lot of time to build it and we nearly killed each other trying to finish the bloody thing in time because it was 3 layers and very complicated. It wasn't an expensive mistake, it was a big time mistake, but it was hugely successful on the exhibition circuit because it was made from cardboard. The baseboard was made from cardboard. The whole thing was made from cardboard. Weighed nothing, rigid as anything. So that was quite good. And I haven't made too many other expensive mistakes apart from buying too much stuff, basically.
That train guy says we should quickly rename our stream to the 5-year anniversary stream.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. No, I haven't considered metal kits. I haven't got any skill in doing metal apart from when I used to make war games models in metal. The problem is designing a kit for the Pug chassis. The Pugs currently go for about £30. So you're designing a body for something that's going to cost. Somebody's got to pay £30 just to get a chassis, and I wouldn't pay £30 to get a chassis to put a 3D body on it. You know. Yeah, I mean, I won't get into that one, but cheapest rolling stock. Yeah, I've had rolling stock for as little as £2. If things like roofs and so on are missing, there is a video where I got I think 6 wagons for 50p each because the roofs were missing, and I just stuck cardboard roofs on and repainted them, and they're really nice, actually. Cheap way of doing rolling stock daypole kits if you enjoy making kits. So I think we're beginning. What did we get up to? 143. Does it tell us how many people have watched in total?
They used to. I don't know how to see that.
What's that? 1905.
Oh yeah, 1905.
Oh, that's pretty good. A couple of thousand people have watched us at some point.
I think the most we had at one time was 150.
That's a lot more than last time, so that's quite good. Oh, we got a new member. Excellent.
We got one new member. One super chat, 86 likes, 87 likes.
Yeah. Oh, the old Resin Seal channel.
No, I did not complete the layout in a month. That crashed and burned.
We did build a layout in 2 days though at the Bluebell.
Yeah, we won up ourselves, so that was a much bigger layout.
Yeah. Yes, I have made platforms from wood, which is a really good way of making platforms. Actually, if you've got a spare bit of timber the right size, really quick way of making platforms. Slap a bit of wood down, bit of brick paper and card on the edges, bit of Metcalf card on the top, and you're away.
We have so many old YouTube channels, you'll never find them all.
I'm not attacking the L&Y pugs, but I would say that the L&Y pug is the bigger pug. I think the guy was talking about the little pug. The bigger Hornby pugs, which aren't really, they're saddle tank locos. That's what you can use those for. Pannier tank loco, for instance, they're fine if you get a new one. You need to get China with the 040s. These things, you always need to get the China-made ones because they're actually the lower geared, more reliable ones. The old UK ones are not as good. Sorry.
You showed that yet?
Oh, I haven't shown that yet. Yeah. This was a Christmas present from Doug and my wife. So it's a Hornby Scaledale resin building. It's pretty awful actually inside. They paid £2 for it and it just needs doors.
They paid £2 for it in a junk shop.
In a junk shop.
Coronavirus.
So that's going to look quite good in the layout. Yes, we do need more railroad, James Hardy. We need more, and we need it at cheaper prices. It's still not cheap enough. £10 for a wagon's no good, though. We need some of the triple packs back, where they were £20 for 3 wagons, which brings them down to about £7 each. So we need train packs at about 50 instead of 60. We need locos at 40 instead of 50, and 30 instead of 40, and we need wagons at about £8 or £9 each in a triple pack. And we need some nice coaches, not the Hornby 4-wheel, or if they're going to do the Hornby 4-wheel, then they need to be, again, the triple packs at about £7 each. And the large Celestri, I always pronounce it wrong, coach doesn't need to be 18 quid, it needs to be about 10. And then we'd have quite a nice little range.
One thing, if any of you are 3D printed kit customers, if you could take a photo of your completed kit and email it to us at bmrnewsletter@gmail.com, the email's all over our website. We're adding a new page to our website for customer completed kits, and we want to put as many photos on there as we can. So it'd be great if you could send in your photos.
Yeah, platforms out of polystyrene again. Anything that's the right height. Shoe boxes are good for making tunnels. Yeah. Trees depends what height you want. It's the old problem. A scale oak tree would be up here somewhere. A foot tall. It's going to look wrong on most layouts. I buy relatively small cheap trees from China and I'm quite happy with them. The biggest I use are I think 15 centimetres, which is about 6 inches, and they look just fine. You can always paint the trunks if you want. Again, if you want to spend thousands of hours and making them from all the traditional methods because you want them ultra realistic, That's fine. Don't know what you do when it's autumn and you need to change the colours, but hey. I've not had any trouble. I've made platforms out of foam board. Depends what glue you use. PVA should be okay.
A tree tutorial, eBay in China.
Yeah, so just eBay in China. I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit there for hours with twisted wire and bits of stick and foliage and twigs from the garden trying to make trees. I can get them for 40p from China. It's a good example of what's wrong with the hobby. Oh, I tell you what I should have brought up. We'll do it for the next one. Out of interest from China in the year, I bought a long tipper wagon. It's immensely detailed. It's a double bogie one. It's got all the details on the bogies. No, not that one. I've bought another one since then. It's got all the stenciling on it, the whole works. £14 from China. Hornby want £30 for the same product. And Hornby are buying them by the thousand. I bought one and had it shipped from China and it cost me £14. And that's where the problem is. And it's the same problem with trees. You can buy them in the UK, lovely trees, £6 each, £10 each. You know, you need 4 trees, you get 40 quid just for 4 trees. You buy the cheap ones from China, you spray some glue on them, put some different colour flocks so the leaves look good, paint the branches brown, and you're away, and they're about £1 each. Little Hill, I don't remember Little Hill.
I don't remember Little Hill.
Little Hill. No, I'm never going to ballast again, sorry. I'm just never ballasting again. I change my projects too much, so when I want to lift the track I can't. And every time I ballast points, it takes me days and days of cleaning to get the points clean again. And I'm just not going to do it. We exhibited 4 layouts with roofing felt as ballast, and no one in 9-10 exhibitions
over that
ever said to us, why isn't your track ballasted? Nobody even asked what the ballast mat was. They're too busy looking at everything else going on in the layout. So no, I'll never be. It's a bit of a pain because I've got a metric ton of ballast that I bought cheap over the years. If I was going to do it, I would use chinchilla dust or the pebbles that they use for fish tanks, because it's an awful lot cheaper than buying railway ballast.
50 Metcalfe buildings for £90 is good. Makes them less than £2 each.
Did a competition, yeah. Again, you take the cheap Chinese trees, work with them, redecorate them, and they'll look just fine. Yeah, chinchilla dust is great if you don't mind it not being grey. Yeah, fine black sandpaper is great. The only reason I don't use it is it's not actually cheaper than buying ballast mat. But if you've got some cheap, it's great. I don't think, did I call it Little Hill? Don't remember. I remember calling it the world's smallest 00 layout.
Yeah, we just kind of titled it for epicness, the world's smallest 00 gauge round and round layout, and then sold it pretty quickly. So
no, actually,
what do we still have?
Adam bought it.
Oh yeah, Adam bought it.
Adam's bought 2 of my layouts now. The nice thing is that of all the layouts I bought, about 5 of them have gone to people we know.
Subscribe.
The lad down from Bognor, he turned up at my door one day and bought one of my shunting layouts, so they're quite good. Yeah, carpet tiles, I've often wondered about that as ballast, I must admit. There's some interesting stuff out there. I don't know what I'm going to use for the loft. It depends. I have used the black roofing felt, but I think it's going to get damaged when I lift the different levels. If it's not too damaged, I've got enough offcuts that I think I can do the whole lot in black roofing felt with a bit of luck. And what I found is the black roofing felt, if you dry brush it with grey, then it looks just like ballast mat. Very, very, very dry brush with light grey. IKEA hydroponic grit called Vaxa. Yeah, the only trouble with the IKEA stuff is I bought the black stuff, £1.50 for coal. Fantastic. I mean, a tiny little bag is £3 from the model railway shop. Whacking great jar for £1.50, but they only carry it for 1 year. So if I was going to use something like that, I'd want to make sure I bought enough to do the whole layout. But I'll have a look for that. I'll have a look at that. Yeah, I know sawdust. People use sawdust to scatter. I've no idea how you colour it. It is the classic way of doing it. It must be honest. Yeah, retirement's great. I've never been so busy. Yeah, you'll find a great long list of jobs that need doing when you retire.
Yeah. Well, you're not retired because I employ you, so.
So I think we've got about another 15 minutes. I think the numbers are running down a bit and the questions are slowing up. Tea bags for ballast. What you do is you bake them in the oven as soon as you do them. I've done this out of an experiment, and it's brown. If you don't mind the ballast being brown, it's a really effective ballast. But you do need to cook it off in the oven, and then it's fine. It won't go mouldy. If you use, I don't know, lemon and something grass, it'd probably smell nice. You know, I know somebody who worked out it was cheaper to buy things like, I'll say cinnamon, but it isn't, but herbs and spices in a jar for grass scatter than buying proper grass scatter, because it's the right colour and it's about £1.50 a jar. I would get a bit rushed than if it was cheap enough, but it would have to be half the price it is now, because £90 for the smallest loco that you can buy is an awful lot of money, just because people wanted lights and sound. You know, if you took all that capability out, it could probably have been a lot less, but there you go. Busy soldering. Well, good luck with that one. I'm quite good at soldering, not as good as him. He's quite good.
Yeah, you're terrible at soldering.
A coal I've done, I use some stuff for flower arranging from IKEA, which I got a couple of years ago. Favourite 040s, I've got a Great Western one that runs very well. I got as part of a train pack that I got for £17, and I've got 2 black saddle tanks in BR Black that are exceptionally good runners. One cost me £12, one cost me £19. They'd be my favourite. Well, the trouble with who can build the best budget is it's all it's open for discussion, isn't it? What's best? And anything you built that you like yourself is best, isn't it? You know. You need to do some talking.
Well, there's not very much I can answer.
What's your soldering skills like?
Much better than yours.
Did it at school though, didn't you?
Yes, well,
Yeah, it's
this
very
is
good
what
soldering.
I'm sent to school for, to learn things.
Well, I just watched a YouTube video. Found out how to do it.
I'm pretty sure I made our own YouTube video on how to do it.
Grass scatter depends whether you mean grass for a static grass applicator, or just ordinary grass scatter. And I just shop around. I mean, there's loads of it on eBay, but do shop around. It can be 5-6 times the price if you're not careful.
That might be handy one day box of bits and pieces. Well, we have the that might be handy one day shed full of junk.
And I have at least one cupboard full of model railway that will be handy one day. Which doubtfully he will get inherit at my death, and he's got my grandson on. You know, we all do it, don't we? We buy this stuff and we're never going to use it. Good night, Martin. But yeah, I mean, with me, I tend to buy stuff when it's really cheap. That's why I look at eBay, and if something slips through really cheap, then I buy it, and it's surprising quite often. The reason I don't get rid of it is some years ago, 2 Lima, 2-tone brown Italian railway coaches that I paid next to nothing for, and I was making space, so I sold them about twice what I paid for them. I then bought a Lima from Hornby when Hornby had them cheap, £30 brand new Italian 2-tone brown diesel loco. Can I get any 2-tone brown coaches to go with it? No, because I sold mine. Every time I see them on eBay, they're £20 each. So the moral is, if you're really sure you don't want it, get rid of it, but otherwise hang on to it. Garden layout, yeah, no, that ain't never going to happen for us.
Nah.
Oh, you're worse than me. I haven't quite got 20 040s.
Yeah, you probably do.
Yeah, I probably do. Yeah, I probably do, thinking about it.
Probably got more.
I do sell them every so often, to be honest. I do sell them every so often. When I get a good one, I have a rummage around. That one's on borrowed time, because it's alright. It's a little bit tatty. It's not the world's greatest runner. So that might. I refuse to answer how many locos do I have on the grounds that I might incriminate myself.
Over 200.
No, it's not 200.
Yes.
About a year ago I added up and it was over 60, so I stopped counting at that
No,
point.
it's well over 100.
If you got an 040 for £7, that was an absolute bargain. I'm assuming that you paid a little bit of carriage on top of it. If you got that for around the £10 or £12 mark at the moment, that's an absolute bargain. Depends how it runs when you get it, because some of them can be quite awful and they're not easy to fix when they're poor. Although, was it that one? Yeah, it was that one actually. Turned out to be bent conrods. The motor and everything got sprayed with WD-40 and 3-in-1 oil. Gave it a ran for about an hour. Sorted the bent conrods out. Clean the wheels. It's the O4Os. Most of the bad running with the O4Os is dirty wheels. If you clean the wheels, most of them are great. Took me a long time to learn that. I sold some quite nice ones before I discovered that. £12 including postage was a very good price. So long as it's a nice runner when you get it, or you can make it a nice runner. I've just had 2 for 13 of a slightly different one, which is quite good. So that's a really good price. Yeah. Yeah, I'd need a lot of shelves. I'd need a room to put mine in. How do I clean wheels? Okay, I'm gonna upset people.
Sandpaper.
I use very, very fine sandpaper to get all the real crap off, and then I give them a good clean with WD-40. You can use solvents if that's your thing, but I find very, very fine sandpaper, something like an emery board, just to take all the real rubbish off, and then good clean with something like WD-40 or another solvent, and then you're fine. It's quite laborious because you've got to do a little bit of the wheel and then turn the wheel, and then a little bit of the wheel and turn the wheel. But it works quite well on those. Would I do that on a £200 DCC locomotive? No, I wouldn't. But I don't run them.
Is there going to be a Crafty Cow's craft shop on your micro layout? There's everything else.
Who knows?
There's the model shop that sells budget model Rowies kits on the layout.
There you go, see? Poor runner, 10 quid, 3-in-1 oil, no, it's fine. Clean the wheels, and it will be. So we've got about 10 more minutes, so if you've got any last minute questions, now's the time to think them up.
Any last words?
Yeah, O4Os are my favourite. If you get some of the really nicely painted ones where all the handrails are picked out and they've got little engine numbers on them, and you can pick the details out in the cab and you can put some crew in, clean the wheels, they're utterly reliable, they'll run really slow, there's really nothing not to like about them, in all honesty. You could pay a lot more for a loco and still have poor running. You know, bear in mind some of these Rushtons and the Pecketts that people are buying are awful on the points. They're an awful lot of money. Awful lot of money.
Your chair is higher than mine, so I'm
still uncomfortable though. What am I looking forward to in 2021? It being better than 2020.
I mean, it's not got much. All it has to do is absolutely nothing, and then it's better.
2020. I suppose the sensible answer is I'm looking forward to getting to. It'd be nice to do some exhibitions.
I'm looking forward to the fact it's 1 year closer to 2022 F1 cars.
Hello, Portugal. Yeah, one of my favourite Class 06s is my BR Blue. I've got 2, both of which cost me 12 quid some time ago, and they are beautiful runners. If you've got them, you don't actually need the Bagnall, but I'll get a Bagnall and see what it's like. No, don't do lighting. Sorry, but it's more tech to spend money on and go wrong, I'm afraid. Favourite national rail journey, was it Norway or Corsica? Corsica.
Ajaccio to Visabona.
Norway is stunning. It's about £100 and something a ticket.
Yeah, that was expensive.
Corsica, it's about £12 a ticket.
Because it was like an actual commuter line.
You go all the way up in the mountains past these stunning little French railway stations, and you get off at the top and wander around all the deserted old hotel and railway stations.
There was an abandoned hotel up there.
Yeah, and it's fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Yeah, if you've got an 06 for 20 quid in green, that's pretty good. If it's a good runner. I don't know what the price of the Batman Class 66 is because it will be way outside my budget, so I'm less than interested. Good rail shops in East Sussex, hardly any now. So Classic Rail, it's technically in Kent, Wadhurst, but it's only just over the border. Train Times in Eastbourne or Eastbourne Models and Hobbies was good, Sebastian, but he's not open much at the moment. And there's not many more that I know. If there are, please let me know, but there's not hardly any now.
Ever fancied the Orient Express?
Yes, my wife is desperate, and once we're travelling again, we will do the Orient Express. But chassis rot, never heard of it. Well, I do sort of modern era, but yeah, I might do one day. But it's like, well, I suppose, yeah, I did tinker with one, didn't I? I did all the industrial area, not the quarry one. I did the other one with the industrial buildings, which would have been modern, but I never finished that one.
I mean, my diorama thing's kind of modern.
Go on, then, go and get that and show that then. If you want to see modern, we've got futuristic.
You so modern.
Go on, you've got 4 minutes.
I've got to climb out with it first. Oh, it's under loads of stuff.
Can you get it or not?
Yeah. Might drop a tank on the way.
You better not, it'll break. Well, it'll break something if it lands on something.
Something else that's solid out. I mean, it's not plugged in, so we're not going to get any fancy lights.
No. No, it's okay. Chassis. No, I've never had problems with chassis. I've had broken chassis, but that's usually because somebody's dropped it before they've sold it. So I don't know if we can do this justice. So if you want modern layout, this is Doug's futuristic science fiction.
Oh, that I made last year.
Diorama.
Super
You have to turn it round.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
There is actually a rail track in there that runs through there, which is why it's
to
round.
hold the tank. There you go. So wait, this way. Yeah, you start on the old abused line where there's an apocalypse happening over here, and you go through these walls.
There's actually a crashed helicopter and a
these
car.
are all LEDs, and it all wires up with bright lights because I like lights. Yeah, there's a crashed helicopter and a car and a broken building. A bunch of enemies about to storm it. And then on the nice side, you got like clean and awesome, and then under there you have a bunker because.
And it all lit up and everything. So there you go.
It does still light up, but I just can't plug it in over here.
So we might do a video on that one day. But yeah, so what does this year hold? Well, hopefully some exhibitions, but I don't think so. I think the organisers will be too nervous. Hopefully we'll get the loft layout sorted, so I can actually start running some trains. And if we do, then that'll be a lot more running videos, because the plan then is I just want to be able to get up there and run trains. Yeah, Rocky Mountaineer is definitely on the list. Definitely on the list. I'd like to do the Malig line in Scotland as well, which we did have plans to do this year, but obviously that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. So I suppose all our travel plans are on hold really, but there's quite a few lines in the UK I'd like to do. We did the Callington, the one from Plymouth up into the hills last year, which was really good.
That one. That wasn't last year. That was like
2 years ago.
3 years ago.
Time flies when you're
4
getting old.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
So I think we're down to the last couple of minutes.
We did nothing in this one, so maybe a year ago, 2 years ago.
Is that what that
3
means?
years ago. Yeah.
Oh,
3 years
we've
ago.
had nearly 2,300 people watch us, which is more than some daytime television programmes get. We've been up to 150, 160 people, so that's quite good. So we might look to do one if we get time in a couple of months' time. We will try and do some more videos. I know they come down to sort of one a week, but it is just the problem of trying to find time to do them. And also because like this week it's taken me a lot of time to do one tiny little corner of the layout. It's not going to make a great video. It's got 2 buildings and some cobbles down, but it's taken me a lot of time to do, and it's having enough to talk about really is the idea. Oh, hello to Long Island, New York, one of my favourite cities. I love New York. We will when I start planning the loft, we will definitely go out there and video it, so you can see how much work needs doing to it. But it's got to be done, because I do want to start getting, as Doug said, I've got too many locos, and it would be nice to get some of them running. And some of them are getting a bit unreliable because they don't get a run. So, got any last words?
Oh, that's a bit dramatic.
We did more banter on that one. We had to stop. We'll have to do more banter next time.
We did Bob and Bob on this one.
We did do Bob and Bob on this one.
Not
what
much,
people think about Bob and Bob. Okay.
Thank you to all of you for behaving nicely. I only had to remove 2 people, and that's pretty impressive. Normally it's a lot more.
Yeah, the live and run trains will be easier when we got a round and round layout. That's my plan. Shunting layouts, even filming a shunting layout, is problematic. The last one I did that people enjoyed took 4 attempts because, of course, locos that were running fine in rehearsals decided to stall and derail when I'm actually filming it. And at the moment,
Manuel, I sent you an email to say the 009 coaches are back in stock. I don't know if you got it, but you were asking to email when they were, so yeah, they are.
Yeah, and at the moment I haven't got anywhere I can put my shunting layout, so I haven't really got much I can run. Once I've got a bit more of the micro layout done, we'll do some trains running on that, because there's some fantastic photographic angles from that. Yeah.
Ordering it as we speak, okay.
There we go. Don't go counting rivets. No.
Yeah, can we 3D print some rivets?
Yeah, we ought to do that for the rivet counters.
Ceremonial rivet.
Well, I will tell the story that I think I've told every time, but the ultimate rivet counter one was a long debate in the 1980s in the aviation press over invasion strikes.
We've had this one a million times.
No, but
we've had this one.
Alright, I'll tell it another time.
Literally a million
times.
times.
But people like it.
No, look, people saying bye as soon as you started talking about that.
Yes, it can include part of the show, but it can take several minutes to get a derailment sorted, and that doesn't make the greatest viewing.
Well, the first couple we ever did were in the loft, and they were trains running ones.
Yeah, no. So once we get the loft going, and so once my micro layout, we could do some trains running one of my micro layouts.
Yeah, we do it in my room because my computer is connected to Wi-Fi via an Ethernet cable, so we have good connection. In our very first live streams, they were lagging out like hell, and the quality was terrible. Whereas, like, these ones are much better.
No, so we can't do the Model Railway Challenge because Doug's too young, and when they do the children's one, I'm too old. So unfortunately, we can't. And they asked clubs, and we don't belong to any clubs. We run our own club. We run the Budget Model Railways Club. So we're a bit stuffed, really. Unfortunately. No, I wasn't in aviation. I had a fascination with aviation for about 30 years. I was an air cadet when I was a kid, and I've forgotten more about planes than I know.
I'm gonna be in aviation.
You hope so. Yeah. Doug wants to be avionics engineer, possibly in the Navy, when he finishes.
jets.
I probably will end up making some more shunting layouts because I just enjoy them, but I really at the moment want to concentrate on the loft. I've got to the stage I really want to get a layout where I can run some trains on. But yeah, I probably will do some more shunting ones at some time. I've got ideas for them.
Oh, you'll make a million more shunting
ones. The picture we showed you at the beginning, which is the board in the old summer house.
Oh, I can get this picture back.
One of the ideas is to use that for Continental, because I've got some really nice Continental stock, and I don't have anything to run it on.
Here we go. Yeah, this thing.
Yeah. So there's always stuff you could do. Well, we looked into the Great Model Railway Challenge, and we're quite clearly told no. But as I say, our problem is there's 2 of us. We're not part of a club, and so that's an issue. Family category, but again, there's only 2 of us, so and a little bit is what we do is trying to do, if you like, a very traditional railway, and a lot of it is how wacky and different can you be, and I don't want to be necessarily wacky and different. I want to do a conventional, traditional railway without any of the rules.
We wouldn't get through the first round because we're not doing it high scale and we're not doing it crazy. We're just doing it railway, so we'd get knocked out instantly because that's how TV works.
By and large.
It's what's most entertaining, not what's best.
Yep.
Well, and then it's always what's most entertaining, and it's not.
Yeah. So Budget Bear, yeah, he's gone off to bed. I think he's going to say goodbye.
Budget Bear says hi.
Hello to New Zealand.
Cato Pass badge on as well.
Yeah. Oh, a few people from.
That's 3 from New Zealand.
Yeah. Ironically, we're not groundbreaking and unique. In some ways, we're retro. We're going back. When I look at books made in the 1970s, 1980s, before this whole rivet counter thing exploded, this whole hang the expense, how perfect and realistic can you make it, took over. It's what people did. It's just made model railway layouts. But there you go. I think we're all done.
Yep.
I think we're all done.
Night there.
So thank you very much for we think we've had 2,300 people view this at some point, if only for a few seconds. We have had up to 160 people at one point, which was really great, which is more than we've ever had. Thank you as always if you subscribe. Thank you particularly to the members and the patrons who keep us going. We will never stop being budget. That's why we're not going to review expensive train sets or get involved in DCC at the moment and things like that. Hello to South Africa. All the best out there. It's not good out there for the moment, is it? We'll try and do another one of these soon. Thank you very much for the questions. And thank you for watching.
Bye.
It's good night from me and good night from him.
And good night from him. You forgot.
So we'll stay on for a little just to see some people say goodbye.
Bye. Yeah, see you all. You must be so bored watching us.
You really need to get a life.
There you go, we can put them up there. Fixed. Good night. If I end it over
I'm
here.
just going to very quickly say a big thank you to Poshintone, who got me back into finishing both my layout that then became the beginner's guide and my ultimate layout, which were all because I saw him having so much fun with the layout that he copied off us.
There we go.
Virtuous circle.
Is it bye-bye time now?
It's bye-bye now.
See ya.